It's good to see you, Kamila, and I'm so happy DH isn't here tonight because we finally get to talk about the important shit. Fuck non-duality, fuck everything else. We get to talk about aliens, and he cannot stop us.
What a load off, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna open up with the big hitting serious questions real quick. What are your favorite type of aliens? Is it the small grays, the big grays, the space Europeans, the goddamn reptiles, the Watchers?
That's a hard one. I think, I was actually having this discussion earlier. Those really oddball people you run into on the street that are just like, they look normal, but they're just bizarre.
Oh, you mean the living incarnate of meth? Yes, yeah. I have met many.
I have a theory that those are normal humans. Like normal humans. And ones that act normal and look oddball are the aliens trying to blend in.
Oh, so it's kind of like Men in Black, where all those weird people are actually just aliens trying their damnedest to fit in with society.
Yes. All the oddballs that are normal, that just go about their daily business, just, being human, are really the aliens.
I relate to that, actually. There's some people, too, who can actually human, they identify as alien, like a part of an otherkin thing. I don't know much about that, but, I don't know, I find it entertaining, I find that cool.
It is. Like, there was one dude that totally, became, surgically androgynous. I don't know if you know him, but he did, what was it? I don't know. He had all this surgery on his face and everything. He gave himself boobs, but he chopped off his dick. And, the way he did his face, it's like you don't know what he is, but he identifies as like he actually changed his gender to alien, which is pretty freaking cool.
I don't know what you are, but you're attractive. I don't know what you are. Fuck them. I just want to kiss your head horns.
Just keep being you.
Yeah, no, the weird people are the best. So, you know what? Actually, on fitting with topic, do you pass the question if you don't want to say or whatever, but have you ever had any alien encounters?
Back when I was in 6th grade, I was on my way to school and I thought I saw something in the sky. One of those pyramid, flipping and turning through the sky. But other than that, I don't know. I've had missing time, but I don't know if that was that or something else.
Because that's a commonality with a bunch of alien abductions, missing time, but I don't know, that could also be carbon monoxide or something.
I mean, I could have been 10 years old and sitting there at my grandma's house watching a movie, like this happened, watching a movie with all my cousins and stuff, like all 9 of us were over there, and I totally blanked out. I was sitting up with my back against the wall and totally blanked out, and about 3 a.m. I came to. My eyes were open this whole time, but I there. Oh fuck! Here he is.
Oh shit! And so that's how it all relates to non-duality, is that you jumped into a different perception of okay, fuck, we gotta get Siri.
What is up, everybody? This is DH Thorne here. I'm sorry I'm doing the show alone tonight. I wish I could have some companions. I'm sorry it took me so long. But yeah, hopefully you can all hear me really good. What do you guys think of Flesh Priest and Kamila? It's too bad they couldn't make it tonight. Really kind of sucks. I guess I got to do this alone. Let's go through the chat. And I'm sorry, I'm being a complete giant bag of D's here. Flesh Priest and Kamila, thank you for handling the intro of the show. There's not enough people here, so I figured I wouldn't show up. I only show up when there's like 50 people or so. That happened, there was some really famous person that got all uppity about doing streams. They're like, "Ooh, if I can't get at least 1,000 subscribers, I'm not going to do a freaking stream." It's like, oh my goodness.
Oh, blow off.
So.
Also, sorry, Crackbite. You didn't stay up for nothing. He's here.
Oh my goodness. You stayed up to wait? Why'd you do that? I'm not that exciting. My goodness. I'm kind of like this is probably not the topic for me, guys, because I'm gonna be the stick in the ointment or fly in the ointment or whatever it is with this one.
Ooh, that's okay because I am excited about talking about aliens. So actually, I have never questioned you about it, DH. Any alien encounters? Let me clarify. Aliens in the pop culture sense, in the nuts and bolts fucking.
I don't know. Let's get the viewers to build up a little bit. I'll tell you my story while we do that. So when I was younger, no, I've never seen a shiny in the sky. That's never happened. I've looked and looked and looked. I am a sky watcher. I am the type of person where when I go outside, one of the first things that I do is I look up, and I don't look down. I'm actually like, I don't know how I end up going the right way or not walk into stuff because I love looking up, especially at night. It's getting less fun because of light pollution. You can't see stuff anymore. But for most of my life, I've been oh, what star is that? Ooh, I know that constellation. Ooh, I love the moon tonight. I love this and that. So I was always watching things. And I learned to tell the difference between satellites and planes and falling stars and all that stuff at a young age and all that kind of good stuff. And I mean, would I say that I've been able to identify everything I've seen? No. So therefore you could say I've seen UFOs before, but I've never seen anything that I couldn't just say, I know that's a plane, or I know that that's a satellite, or I know that that's a shooting star. I never saw anything do weird maneuvers. I never saw anything like, doing anything that wasn't something I'd predict. Now, that being said, in my teenage years, I absolutely had experiences where under hypnosis, I would recall supposedly abduction stories. Now, I am not a proponent of taking hypnosis literally anymore, but back at the time I did. And I absolutely believed that I was somehow part of some alien thing going on with putting stuff in my brain and like putting little pellets in my brain where it wasn't to track me, it had something else, they were doing something else through it, that I was actually part of like a genetic breeding program. This is before I even heard of any of this stuff, by the way. So to give myself some credit, it was before, I never read Whitley Strieber. I had no idea about anything. My knowledge of aliens was based on the movies of the 80s and early 90s at the time. So the whole idea of I'm part of some genetic breeding program and the way that they looked and everything else was more or less 90% authentic. That is, I'm not going to say there was no influence, but I'm going to say that I would tell things and I'd find out later that that's a lot like what other people talked about that I never heard of before. So there is that. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe the stories 100% as told. I don't believe that I would be laying in my bed and a spaceship would fly overhead and somehow something would happen, where, I would be teleported up into a spaceship or dragged off kicking and screaming or anything like that. I don't think any of that happened. My suspicion is that if I were to give it any kind of legitimacy as an experience and not just call it a hypnotic dream, which is a real thing, it's documented. There are things that people will hallucinate while they're under hypnosis. Hypnosis is not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a lie detector, right? It doesn't make you tell the truth.
Well, the problem,
so
also is the one doing the hypnotizing oftentimes will lead.
Correct. And that is absolutely certain with the group I was with, because we were a bunch of kids and teenagers, and they would ask the cool questions. And the things that I do say were real were the possessions, because those were a completely different animal. And when I say possessions were real, I don't know if that means that they were gods coming into me, but they were definitely alternate personalities taking over that I had no understanding of. I had no it felt like I was in the back seat, or I didn't remember anything. Like I was watching my body do stuff and going, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is really wild. It was a really weird experience. Like, you know, words would come out of my mouth and I didn't know what I was going to say next, and it was crazy. But I did not feel that, you know, even when I was telling the stories of the alien stuff and listening to them later, I'm like, you know, my problem with this is, well, there's a lot of problems with it, which I think we're going to discuss tonight a little bit, because as skeptical as I'm going to sound tonight, I'm not ruling anything out, and I do believe that something's going on. So I do want to get into that stuff.
And really quick, before we get into it, Steroid Maximus with the first super chat says, as a troubled child, I summoned the courage to help a friendly alien escape Earth and return to his homeworld. I think they made a movie about it. Huh. Suddenly, I really want
Is your
Reese's
name
Pieces.
Elliot? Yeah, I don't. You know what? I don't think his name's Elliot. I think his name is just I don't know. Like, what's another name for Elliot that sounds the same? Elliot or something. I don't know.
Elliot.
I remember there was this horrible movie where supposedly these aliens came to Earth and this one became the president, and the president's name was Neela, which was alien spelt backwards, and it was the worst fucking thing ever. I was just like, what are you, crazy? This is so bad. But anyway, yeah, and Joffrey 524 says, can demons pose as aliens or vice versa? I mean, when we're talking about something that's that big of an unknown, maybe not, probably not. I'm going to say it would not surprise me if whatever it is we're talking to as demons, there could be something that it's aliens. And I'm going to get to that too later, especially when we start talking about the question of actual travel between the planets. But before I do, everybody share this everywhere that you think it's appropriate. I didn't share it in my usual demonolatry circles because I didn't feel like this was necessarily on target for the content for those places. So share it wherever you think will get some people to be grabbed tonight. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, you guys were talking about, I sort of heard you guys talking a little bit about it, and Kamila was talking about the pyramid-shaped thing she saw, and I didn't catch what you said, Fleshy. Did you see stuff?
Oh no, I have not. I have a loose theory that whatever you most want to encounter, broadly speaking, is what you will not. So no aliens for me. But yeah, hold on. So we never actually finished that. Kamila, you saw pyramids going through the sky. Like from Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Were they French?
Well, you know, as a sixth grader, you know, you kind of doubt yourself, you know, but it was just small, and it was like on the horizon, you know, a little bit above the trees, and it kind of just, you know, scooted across the sky and disappeared, you know. But it's, you know, you wonder what it is, you know. Is it really that, or was I just seeing something?
Yeah, because that's an unusual shape to see in there. It'd be one thing if it was like a smudge or anything else, but like a defined, like, triangle shape just moving across the sky. That's a little bit different.
Broad daylight, morning, you know, all that.
So I want to throw this question to you guys, and admittedly I haven't grappled with it all that much myself, but since we're getting into talking about aliens, and this is typically a magically orientated show, broadly speaking, how would you, if something appeared to you right now, how would you break down the difference between, you know, spirit or demon or angel, whatever, all those subcategories, and alien? What's the differentiating factor for you? And I guess while you're thinking about it, the first thing that comes to my head is that I would think of aliens having some type of technologic component. Like, that is the viewpoint that a lot of people seem to have with them, is nuts and bolts, higher tech. Whereas all these other spirits, it's magic or it's mystical. They don't need metal.
What do you think, Kamila? Because you know I'm going to rant a lot tonight. So what do you think, Kamila?
Well, with aliens, yeah, is it going to be like the typical gray that you see, or is it going to be more humanoid? You know, I mean, demons come across as different things. You know, some come across as more like a crow, like Malphas. You might see it as a lion. You might see the same entity as a person. Would the aliens be something similar? You know, how would they come across really? That's something to think about as well.
Julie M makes a comment. She says, aliens are us, humans, returning or coming back in time.
Yeah, I love time travel stories because they're like the worst kind of stories. Like they're always like the worst understanding of time travel ever. But I won't get into that. I'm so opinionated. Oh my goodness. All right, let me try breaking the. Yeah, I think that is why they tune in. They want to hear me go, no, it's not that. You're the curmudgeonly Thorne that I can act like sometimes. Let's Papa Thorne. What do you think? What do you really think? What do you really think? So how would I differentiate? What do I consider an alien? What do I think they are if they exist? You know, I'm trying to rephrase your question so I can properly answer it. But what would I say to them? What would I ask them? How would I see them? What would I expect from them? So obviously, part one of the question is, what is anybody, right? We're all just a massive, you know, when I say we are all this, I mean we identify as a collection of biology. I think if this was on a mutual term, if I wasn't abducted and at their mercy, or if I was allowed to sit down and talk to them and just have conversations with them, probably the first thing I would talk to them about is to inquire about things relating to non-dualism, not necessarily spirituality in the way, you know, like if you go to a hippie convention, I'm going to say, what's your idea of spirituality, Mr. Alien? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask them questions about consciousness and what they think about that. Do they feel, do they know, do they have an awareness of the non-dual nature that I see? And if not, what is their take on it? And if so, what is their take on it? Because I feel that that's something I'd want to know from them. Because it's first of all, just the fact that little green men jumped off a spaceship and said hello would probably put me in a position in life where the level of nihilism, which is already near zero in me, would be completely eradicated. Simply because I know that life exists in the universe besides ours, and that follows a lot of the things that I would believe in terms of things I've seen spiritually, things that I believe spiritually. The idea that life is a constant of the universe, not a recent appearance on Earth. I don't think that life, personally, I do not believe that life evolved here. That is to say, abiogenesis was not on Earth. I believe that abiogenesis happened, who knows when, who knows exactly where, but certainly not on this planet. I believe in panspermia is my preferred, you know, I like the fringy ideas. I like the ones that aren't maybe the most accepted, because very often, given a long enough timeline, we find the bizarre stuff tends to have some merit that we didn't realize when we first thought of it. Mm-hmm. But I think panspermia is the most rational of the answers, even though it doesn't make as much sense yet because we don't know exactly what biological organisms can survive traveling through space. It seems to me that life in a simple enough package, protected in a proper enough object, could travel pretty far. And it really depends upon what our definition of life is. Because if you ever watch a cell die, and live, like my wife and I watched just recently on a video, and the question is, when does it stop being alive? When does it begin? When does it start? When does it stop? Is it just a bunch of chemical? When does a bunch of chemical processes count as life versus just chemical processes? When does iron being oxygenated and becoming oxidized become life? Right? When does a chemical reaction turn into life? And this is rooted in the same problems we have with anything ontological in science or in rational thinking when we're too materialistic, is, the mistaking of the symbols for the genuine article. Life manifests biology. Biology is not life. That is what I would say to that question. Like when someone asks, what is life? I would say everything is life, because everything is consciousness. Consciousness to me is synonymous in most respects with the word life. But life manifests as a wave through the material world, just like any other kind of energy. It appears and it propagates through it as a wave pattern through the materia. And that has a pattern to it. That pattern is recognizable as eventually the biology we see. That's my take on it. So I expect that life itself is hyper common. I'm even willing to bet, just consider it a hunch, that even in this solar system, Earth is not the only place where life exists and has been for a long time. I don't know exactly where we're going to find it for sure. I thought maybe Venus, maybe not. Because they're saying that the things that they found last year were, maybe they've corrected it. But you have all these other, moons and places in the solar system where it's very likely that it's possible.
I mean, even the Mars rover, very recently it came out that the stuff stuck in the treads of one of the rover, it hasn't been confirmed to my knowledge, but they highly suspect that it's actually a type of mushroom, I believe, which, that's alien life. That's not what we think about when we say alien, but that is right there, alien life.
Let me blow your brain a little bit further out of the water. Back in the 70s, when the Viking probes landed, they did a test for life that hit positive. It hit positive very strongly. But it was later discounted because it didn't happen twice. In other words, they did the test, and for whatever reason, it came up positive the first time, but on the second attempts, it didn't work. And it did this in a way that was still rather remarkable. If you look up Viking probes test for life positive or something like that on Google, they revisited that recently and started saying, hey, maybe it did find life and it was actually a bug in the system. That's why they didn't find it twice. Or maybe it's something about life we didn't understand. Maybe there was some organism that it only lived once. Basically, what they did was they subjected the soil to a chemical, which, if there was life present, it would emit a gas which they could detect. I'm pretty sure I think it was actually methane. And if they detected it, it was something like, it was phosphine or something. If they detected it, it would be a positive sign for life. And it only worked once, which begged the question, you would think that it would work every time. So they don't know. But there's some other data that they're saying may now. And there's so much going on, with that. If you're watching these things, these stories, the developments in science, the developments in technology, the way that they just revealed that there's something about gravity. Was it gravity? There's something they just revealed that they don't quite get right in their math. There's something that's off, that they feel like the whole science of physics may have to be rewritten soon because there's some error that they shouldn't have, that if they can't solve why it happened, everything's fucked. And that's important because anytime there's a big question mark, they can insert anything they want, which means that, let's say, for example, they are going to reveal that alien life in the universe is out there and it's intelligent. Some of the questions we'd have to answer would include, how did they get here? How do they bridge the gap between their world and ours, especially if they come from another solar system? As soon as you start going into deep space, it's like the physics we have says that, at least in a human lifetime, it's not tenable. It's an untenable thing to question. It's like asking your dog to survive a trip that's 20 years long, to do a 20-year jail sentence. It's a death sentence for them. In the same sense, if we went on a spaceship voyage that took 200 years, maybe an alien lives 10,000 years, and 200 years is not a big deal to them. And maybe they can go to sleep for that long, and it's really not a big deal, and they'll come here and it's fine. But we can't do it, so we think it's impossible because of that, by the way. Part of the reason we think interstellar travel is impossible is because of our own lifespans. If we lived long enough and we could enter states of dormancy or something, like a seed, like let's say we could reduce ourselves to like a seed, put ourselves in the right capsule and send us out. If the journey took 100,000 years, that's a blink of an eye in the cosmic sense. I'm sure if we could do that, sooner or later we would, just to do it, just to say we did it. And I'm sure other aliens would too. I have no doubt in my mind. In fact, the estimate is, even at the rate of expansion that humanity could go with conventional technology, we could completely dominate this galaxy in less time than humanity has existed. We could completely, that is to say,
it's that exponential growth.
Just at the rate of travel humans could go, we could literally colonize most of the galaxy easily. In, I forget what the number is. It's like 100,000 to 1,000,000 years, something like that. It would be a cakewalk. It would be nothing if we just did it, you know. So not that would be easy to do, but I mean, in terms of time spent, it's completely reasonable, you know.
Yeah. I did want to touch on something that you were kind of bringing up, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, but you know, the way that we currently understand physics, we do not believe that it should be possible for alien life to be able to come here from a distant planet, even within our solar system, within our galaxy, heavens forbid, another galaxy. It should not be possible as we understand, but this is also coming at it from a nuts and bolts perspective of these are, you know, physical craft and all of that. I have found the theory very interesting that this is not all nuts and bolts of this is, you know, the universe putting things out there, whether it's astral travel or what have you, manifesting things through other ways besides a, you know, me jumping on Skype and talking to you right now and appearing right before you instead of getting in my car and driving all the way across the country.
So that brings up one of the most important things. I think I brought it up when we were talking to E.A. Quetting one time when he was hanging out with us. And it came up, you know, the question of aliens, and I said, at least according to the physics that we are allowed to understand, I say that very purposely, by the way, because I am certain that there's science that we are not permitted to know that makes up all the black projects in the government. I am certain that they have technology we can only imagine. Does that mean interstellar FTL? I mean, question marks mean anything, so maybe. But probably not unless they got it from somewhere else. But let's hypothetically say that the only ways of doing FTL are the ways we've theorized. We'll say something like an Alcubierre drive or wormholes or something like that.
Warp.
The issue becomes one of efficiency and why would you do it? Let's examine the Project Starshot that they're talking about doing within our lifetime, where they're going to accelerate tiny little probes the size of postage stamps to, I believe, a 10th or a 20th the speed of light, something like that. 20% of the speed of light, I think, was what they said, which means it would arrive in Proxima Centauri within maybe our lifetimes if they did it soon enough. Certainly within our kids' lifetimes. And we would get back the first signals from those probes pretty soon. It probably wouldn't be that impressive. It might be a few grainy pictures, but it would be something. So to do that, they are going to have to send these little postage stamp drones and shoot them with exquisitely powerful laser beams to accelerate them using light to a fraction of the speed of light. It's totally plausible. In fact, they're starting the project now.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that's going to require a lot of energy. It's a reasonable amount that we don't mind spending. It's probably similar to what we spend on something like the whatchamacallit, the
Large Hadron.
Something like that. Exactly.
Boom, boom.
The Collidey McSwirly, yeah. Something like that is probably maybe a little bit more than that, but certainly within the realm of reasonable expense. And so the question arrives, to my mind, is, you know, we don't even have the balls in terms of economics and literal willpower to send human beings to the moon that we know of anymore. How much energy does it require to send a living human being from this world to another using technology that would achieve anything resembling relativistic speeds? Be it a wormhole, be it anything. to even generate the wormhole or Alcubierre drive technique that we're even talking about doesn't even mean you could go faster than light per se. The Alcubierre drive is the idea that you move space-time instead of the ship. The ship moves with a patch of space. And space-time is not limited to the speed of light. It can go any speed it wants. In fact, there's patches of space that are already moving faster than the speed of light right now away from us. It's confirmed. We totally know this. So the idea is, yes, space can go any speed you want, but generating a field that would allow you to make space move like that is prohibitively impossible, especially with the energy that we have available, even theoretically speaking. We're talking like you'd need the energy of a galaxy type of shit to make something that's that insane.
Yeah.
Something that goes beyond even a regular black hole. You need something even bigger potentially than what we think of. But if you go smaller than that, you can theoretically make a geometry of an Alcubierre drive that would allow a Jupiter mass object. In other words, if you had a Jupiter's worth of mass converted to the right kind of energy, you could, and of course you'd need negative energy. It's not something we even know exists. If you could do this, you could potentially make an Alcubierre drive work. At least it's smaller than the 12 suns it was before. Now it's just one Jupiter mass. We're getting there. That's a big difference, a big jump. So even if we got it down to a smaller portion, my argument is this: sending a sloppy biological organism along with the environment it needs to survive for any prolonged period to another planet, which we know is never going to be hospitable to that planet unless we engineer that being biologically to live on that planet along the way. For example, if you go to another planet that looks just like Earth, even if the concentration of nitrogen and oxygen is off enough, which doesn't take much, or has some other trace chemicals that we're not suited to, it would kill you. In other words, it's got to be pretty fine-tuned for you to get out of the spaceship without some kind of heavy-duty equipment. And you got to bring all that with you. So the human and the environment have to go together. So you got to send all of that. That's a lot of weight. That's a bigger ship. That's a lot of energy you need, right? So energy, like Scotty would often say in Star Trek, it's all about the energy, Captain. If you can't get enough energy, you can't do the trip, basically. If you don't have enough energy, if you have enough energy, you can do anything. If you don't have enough energy, you can't. And at some point, you have so much energy, it creates a black hole in the storage device meant to hold it because it's so dense with energy, it literally implodes into a black hole in itself. Look it up. It's crazy. The amount of energy needed. So it seems to me horrendously inefficient to send bodies a la Star Wars and Star Trek and all of that cool shit in flying saucers and machines to go somewhere. It would be like, to put it in perspective, when we envision space travel right now, with the technology we understand, it would be the equivalent of a caveman fantasizing about making a raft and going to the moon. It is that absurd. It does not compute beyond this system. You could go almost anywhere in the solar system with just a handful of improvements on propulsion. You could do it. We could create a network of space colonies that are months or years apart travel time, reasonable distances that people would travel to start colonies and make their life. We could have orbital colonies around Pluto right now. If we started in the 60s, we could do it. I do believe if we devoted everything humanity had onto that project, I do believe it. But going further than that in a reasonable way, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not with what not with the science we currently understand. So of course, there is other alternatives, and you brought up one of the best ones, which is the virtual presence, the virtual presence device, whatever you want to call it.
Since it's topical to this astral travel or what have you, Wyatt Coverdale also brings up one. He says, I'd like to bring up an interesting word, quantum teleportation, i.e. killing yourself and having a clone replace you.
Well, here's the fun thing about that.
I do that every time I go to sleep.
We do that every moment of every day if you understand the theory that I do for the multiverse. That's actually what's happening. It's actually worse than that. It's actually better than that too. You're not actually destroying yourself. It's that your consciousness is moving through reality. Your consciousness is the wave moving through reality. or the reality is moving through your consciousness like a wave. Either way, your body is not moving. Your body's not growing. Your body is not traveling in time. Your body is, and you're moving through it.
Yeah,
That's why I laugh at the time travel stuff, because to me it's a backwards interpretation of time. It's the analogy of sitting on a train and thinking that the world is moving. That's what we think time is. We're sitting here, sitting on a train of consciousness, and we see the world moving by and go, wow, look at that world moving by, when really it's our consciousness moving through the world. That's what's happening. And if we could just stop being dumb about it for a minute, I think if they really tested this the right ways, they might at least when you invert the question. I mean, Einstein did. That's where you get some of the theories of relativity from. The relativity of the perception of the entity doing the measurements changes so much shit. He understood that from a geometric perspective. He understood that time for each individual, and here's where you get funky. Do we mean particle? Do we mean person? What are we talking about? For every point in the universe. It's not just a matter of every object, it's every point. And what's a point? Is it something the size of a Planck length, which by the way is so small you can't even comprehend it, but it's still bigger than zero. So is it smaller than a Planck length? And why is Planck length the smallest thing we can even imagine? Because that's the smallest thing we could even hope to measure particle-wise. So my point here is that even this concept of traveling to another place, when you bring up astral travel or remote presence, I guess is the word we're looking for, telepresence, I think is way more rational, scientifically speaking, with what we know. We could, in theory, send, a fetus much more easily than a person. You could send a person like a seed, like sperm and egg. Look up the book called Manseed or Starseed. Look up the book Starseed.
I think Manseed will take you to something else.
I think it'll take you somewhere else, probably. Look up the book Starseed, and it's literally the story about a probe that contains sperm and egg and teaching tapes, and on the way, it biologically, genetically engineers a guardian for them. And then when it arrives, it gestates human beings. They pop out fully educated, and they're like angels. They're given wings and all kinds of stuff, because if you can do any kind of genetic engineering you want, might as well make them supermen when they arrive. And it's a wild story. Look it up. The ending will blow the tits right out of your brain. It's a cool story. So yes, I think that kind of space travel is totally rational, totally believable, and that could be if aliens are here. That could be what we're dealing with. It could be like a Van Neumann probe or a biological version of that, where it's like panspermia style starships that travel on the order of tens of thousands of years to get anywhere. They arrive at their destination. They're basically just an asteroid. They arrive, they fall into orbit around the star. The energy from the star turns on their systems. They start gestating the eggs and sperm. They make their babies. The babies pop out. And of course, they're genetically engineered to be perfect drones. And the real fun part of this theory is that those beings would no longer be biological in the true sense of it. My prediction would be those aliens would actually post-singularity already. That is to say, they've already merged completely with machines. Their minds are no longer constrained to biological devices. Their minds, or if they are, the biology is a machine to them now, so they can do whatever they want with it, like we do with a computer.
Just like
so the
kids
theory
on their
goes,
damn phone with their Facebook and their Flappy Birds.
Yes, but taken to the Star Wars level. That's again, when we look at Star Wars, we're looking at the caveman interpretation of spaceflight.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of biological entities needing to move at all is absurd. When you look just 100 years in the future, it's very likely people like you and I, or even maybe us, we might even still be alive, we might even be uploaded by then, might be living in machine bodies or be recorded onto hard drives and living out a simulated life. That might be what we're doing now, of course, is one theory that's interesting, of course. So the idea that aliens are coming here in Star Trek ships and traveling space that way, to me, is, at least, again, with the caveat of the technology we know, or even remotely plausible, I should say. Not just what we know, but even with Alcubierre drives, we don't even know if we can break light speed. We might only be limited to 10 or 20% because Alcubierre drives have a quirk, is that when they go faster, they accumulate photons that become so hyper energized that when they arrive at their destination, it's like a supernova goes off when they stop, and it blows everything up, including the ship. It doesn't work good. So it's like a flying bomb. It would be like a really good weapon, not a very good way to get anywhere. But of course, that's another thing that you have to understand about any kind of FTL device is by nature reality breaking enough that it would become a perfect weapon. Anything that goes faster than light is a planet ending weapon as well, because it just is. It's like a plot hole in a movie. It's like
Are we getting
it's like
into
if you
Star
watch
Wars territory?
we're getting in all of it.
Actually,
Yes, it's like
It feels more like Eureka Territory with the.
I was just gonna say Eureka. Say it, Kamila. I was talking too much. Speak.
They had the FTL shit coming in. They had to have a catcher's mitt to keep it from ending the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
all the people it was everyone in Eureka was programmed by this little thing that was going on in their town to bring all the
junk
from their houses to build this thing, and nobody knew what it was. It's just every so often a toaster would go missing overnight, a blender here, a hard drive from a computer there, and they build this huge thing. Nobody knew what it was, so they start to try to tear it down, and they find out it's an FTL ship coming in, and it's meant to catch it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the sort of the direction I'm suggesting. So let me paint for you a picture. Somewhere a million light years away, or whatever reasonable number you want to imagine that's really cool, there's an alien civilization that realizes that, kind of like the parable of the old man who plants a tree, they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it to propagate the species as something greater than themselves. And they decide to spread themselves throughout the known universe by way of this panspermic idea. And they equip these probes with all sorts of everything it would need to get to where it's going, do what it needs to do, and have a good time when it does it. And this would mean that on board this object would be a mind, or maybe even a whole colony of minds, maybe even a whole city worth of individual minds that have been uploaded onto this system. And this thing travels through space in a simulated reality so that they can still live, not even live, they can experience a pleasurable existence while they're going to and fro. And when they arrive after 100 million years or whatever, because you have to understand, you could generate a computer, you could create a computer that could run off of like a 9-volt battery for 1,000 years type of thing that works at such a slow rate that 1 second would be like 1,000 years in terms of computational speed. So for them, it might literally be only like a week of space flight by the time they get here, because their whole world is just happening. The ticking clock is so slow. They could get here. The energy from the sun powers everything back up, recharges their batteries, and they start producing the technology they need to visit the planets and explore. And they'd probably want to create drone craft. Maybe they would need pilots that are some kind of biological analog that they could download into, or drones or something. They might not even be biological. It may just be robots. It may not be anything. It may be telekinetic. There's so many different ways to explain it. These things go around, do their thing, interact with whatever's living there, go back, and maybe they stay. Maybe because they got no other choice. Maybe they're stuck here now. Maybe that's where they can only get until they can build up enough stuff to do the next hop in the journey. Maybe that's what's going on. And they might have been here for a million billion years already anyway. Maybe somebody asked, was the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, did it contain the DNA for us, right? Maybe. Who the hell knows? I don't think so, but maybe.
It was CJ Anger asked that.
Yeah, thank you, CJ Anger. So I'm in the middle of sci-fi territory, but again, we are talking about hypotheticals based on the technology that we are allowed to know. And it is possible that they have technology that's so far in advance of ours that maybe FTL is not possible, but the equivalent of the weird crap that UFOs do is. Maybe they can do right angle turns at 400 Gs and not turn to mush inside. Maybe they can travel at crazy speeds through atmosphere that shouldn't be possible. Maybe they can travel underwater at supersonic speeds. Maybe they can do all of this stuff that to us, without propulsion systems that we can see, without control surfaces as we understand them, without anything that we would recognize as a viable ship. Maybe they have some sort of anti-gravity propulsion using magnetism. Who the hell knows? Maybe they've got all that. Maybe they just don't have FTL. Maybe they do. So it's possible that there's all kinds of stuff that we don't know. And it's possible something's here. I never want to say it's impossible for aliens to be here. We also have the Fermi Paradox that we've got to accept, though. And the Fermi Paradox is, I'm not going to say it's ironclad, but based on what I understand about our ability to detect alien civilizations based on the technology available to like you and me as average people, it would be really hard to hide them from the amateur astronomers and amateur radio operators and stuff that are currently in operation looking for those things. That is to say, if there was an alien civilization out there right now, you could hide them through maybe the 50s, maybe into the 60s. But at some point, the technology of the backyard amateur reaches a point where they would see it too, if they're using anything remotely like what we would expect. Anything from radio, anything from controlling the pulses of light coming from a star because they put something in front of it like a smoke signal using a star, using anything, controlling a pulsar. There's so many different ways that they can communicate and beam messages around that we'd see it. In fact, we should see it at least in other galaxies. There's ways that we should be able to see it. Even amateurs should be able to see it. So it would be kind of hard. Yeah, go ahead.
I think not discrediting that by any means, but just pointing a finger at that is one axiom of the Fermi Paradox, is that they do use technology, or they use things
that we would comprehend.
We understand, in that
correct,
we can't take that as an ironclad assumption. As far as we understand it, it's likely
correct,
but yeah,
absolutely correct. And Faustian says, and Dyson sphere would be way too obvious, couldn't be hidden. Exactly. Whether it's a sphere or a Dyson swarm, equally, it would be impossible to hide. That's why Tabbys Star was so exciting. Of course, they now are telling us that it's a cloud of gas, and that's exactly what they would say if they didn't want us to know what it really was. So, is there a possibility? Yes, there's always a possibility that they're hiding it from us, and we don't see it because either the technology is just at the limit of what we should be able to detect, or because we trust them too much. How would an amateur astronomer look at Tabbys Star and be able to confirm it's gas and dust or not? The fact is, we, from observational purposes, we don't know. In other words, when they do the research on Tabbys Star, they don't see gas and dust. They still see a light that is dimming and growing brighter in weird ways that they can't explain. But the way it's doing it is best explained by gas and dust, by a certain factor of probability that they tell us that they're certain that's what it is. There's always a 1% chance, but it's high enough that they're confident now. Of course, since there's no direct observational proof either way, they could be lying to us and say, here's the math, you do the math, oh, it looks right. But they may know better. There's still that 1%, if it's not zero, it's not zero. If there's still a chance on a long enough, so in probability terms, even if there is a 0.000000 Google zeros 1% chance of something happening over a long enough timeline, it is not a probability, it is a certainty. So that being said, the universe is at least 93 billion light years across from end to end because of expansion and all that good shit. That in that space is a lot of room for a lot of stuff that we haven't detected yet.
Yeah.
So, I think it's absolutely absurd. Even if we look at the problem of protein string combination issues, which if we look at, like, just to get one protein that life uses, to randomly assemble itself out of the soup of the primordial earth. Some estimates, which they've corrected a bunch of times and say that the conservative ones aren't right, but the conservative estimates are on the order of magnitude that it would take the duration of the universe from now till the end of its possible cycle, which is an astronomical number, a couple billion times over for it to randomly happen even once. If that's true, then life should be impossible, if that's true. Obviously, we're here, right? So again, life, I don't think is biology. I think biology is an expression of life. I think life is, to invoke a little bit of panpsychism, which I don't hold as correct, but to invoke a fragment of panpsychism, life is like another fundamental force of nature. It is part of nature, consciousness is. And it manifests as biology given the right environment. It just happens.
Right,
it's like a ripple in a pond. Right. If you give it the right soup, it's going to wiggle the right way and make life. That's that.
Yeah,
So
I kind of want to bring up one thing with the that I don't know if everybody considers about the Fermi Paradox, which is kind of what you were touching on, is that statistically speaking, with as many planets are out there and everything from the observable universe, oh my God, I can talk. The observable universe, it's more likely that there is other life out there than there is not. However, would we have the means to actually reach it? Would those lives on other planets be able to reach out and touch each other in a nuts and bolts, physical sense?
And if I can be brutally honest, even with our known technology, there are enough resources and energy in our own solar system that even with the technology we have today, we could exist throughout this solar system easily if we put our energy to work. Yeah, it might take 10,000 years to get, a bunch of Dyson, swarm stuff going on to get enough starships and colonies and all that, but it could be done. It's not an impossibility. It's not even improbable. It's actually quite likely. It's kind of like but here's the thing, there has to be a point to it. People aren't just going to go to space because they want to see what it looks like. Some people will, of course, but that's not enough to really do it. We need an existential crisis, probably. We need, just like every other culture throughout history, the only reason that they made rafts and sailed the sea to find other colonies and places to live was because where they were was unbearable and they had to leave. That's always there's never been a human ethnicity that reached out into the world to colonize that did that because they were happy where they were at home. It's always shitty and they have to leave. That's always, not enough food, sickness, war, always something.
That explains why the British did that so much. Just that.
Well, they got the messed up teeth. And,
they're in a different time zone. They're not listening right now. Never mind. But,
I'm fucking kidding.
Speaking of things that are unbearable, we're talking about aliens here, and I've been following along with chat. Elon Musk naturally came up, and
can he please join our chat? I want to hang out with
Elon
Musk.
We'll have you on. But
he'll have us on.
That has gone into furries and whatnot. I think maybe this is me projecting a little bit, but people are considering if cat girls are out there in the universe, maybe that could be some alien life.
Be careful of cat girls. That's what I've heard. You got to watch out for them. Well, I mean, that's another wacky thing about biology. We only know human biology and Earth. I consider Earth biology and human biology to be synonymous in a lot of ways when you talk about it. I think that saying humans are somehow separate from the rest of animal life is absurd. We're animals just like everything else. So if I call it human life, understand what I mean. When we compare human biology or Earth biology to what could be, we don't know what other forms it could take. We don't know what it would look like. We have no idea what most science fiction, because there's no other, it's harder to just invent things than it is to just take other things and slap them together like in a big old Play-Doh fun factory where you just stick different things on it, or a Mr. Potato Head. It's easier to do an alien that's a Mr. Potato Head than it is to come up with a completely new biology we can't imagine. So of course you got cat girls out there, and of course you got lizard men and insect people and all that stuff. That's why you have all that. But there's
job with that.
Oh, Farscape?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. No, it doesn't. Mass Effect, we call it Ass Effect for a reason. all these female humanoids running around that are made to receive the sperm of Commander Shepard. It's ridiculous.
Too, okay? You got the big jellyfish.
Oh, the hen arm. But then again, that's a jellyfish. It's not a unique thing. It's a jellyfish.
Who are you talking about? Jellyfish are totally unique.
Well, what about disappointed response? What do they call them?
Not the Hanar.
They're friends though.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up really quick because that's gonna bother me.
Yeah, the Hanar's best friend are those things. And
no, it's the Volus. The Volus and the
they're moles.
The Volus are in the same embassy with them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm playing the game again after
Elcor.
And sweetie, if I could be that person, could you move your microphone closer to you because it's breaking up because it's not picking up very well?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I don't have a microphone. I have my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're a little bit distant, so it's breaking up a little bit. But it's fine.
They are the
I think
Elcor.
So. The Elcor.
Elcor. Should have known.
Of course, they're the Elcor because they remind you of an elk that's really overweight and big and slow. Yeah, I mean,
I'll be right
there's
back,
not a lot
guys.
of examples of aliens that aren't based on something that we can comprehend. That when I say comprehend, I mean that exists on our planet. So, yeah, I mean, to me, there's a lot of things that go into this. Of course, because the universe is so vast, the possibilities are vast too. So everything I say comes with the maybe clause. I'm not going to eat my hat if I'm wrong because I'm not convinced I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to find out. But I will say this. I don't believe in the Star Wars, Star Trek, Whitley Strieber version of aliens. I just don't. I don't think that there are these, starships flying around with warp drives that have space battles and lightsabers and do all of that shit. I'm predicting that if and when we do encounter any kind of alien civilization that's capable of getting here, whatever version of the singularity that they had, they'll have been long done with. And the idea of biology will be more like the way we wear shoes and change clothes and weird shit. Biology will have a different meaning for them. It'll be husks and avatars and shit. They won't care about the body so much. Their bodies are expendable. The ship is expendable. So long as the data core that contains their identity is intact, they're fine. And I speculate that such a being, when you reach a point of technological singularity where you are no longer limited to your biology, you're probably going to reach a kind of non-dual understanding pretty quick, because the entire source of your identity goes out the window when you don't have a body to deal with, when you're no longer limited to biology. Half the reason that you think that you're an individual in the first place is because you think you're limited to this bio thing that you're sitting in right now. If you don't have a body to have an identity associated with, without something to have that identity built out of, what do you build it out of? And it becomes harder to have an identity that is separate in the way that we think of it. So I'm expecting a certain amount of non-dual thinking out of any species that achieves the singularity and beyond enough. I sincerely do, because as I'm looking around our world today and I'm seeing the influence of technology on people's minds, and I see how all of us are living more and more virtual lives. We're already uploading to the machine in a way already, because it's learning us as we do so. The machine's learning what we're like. And this millennium that stored all of human general preferences in it, because we know that people like to shop at this store and that store, and the algorithm kind of tells us that. So let's use that to plug into our AI so that AI has a brain. Maybe.
I'm back, right?
Oh, did I cut out?
Well, everything froze up for me, so I had to leave the call and join.
Oh, the internet is totally balls tonight. I know this, we've been having trouble. Oh, look at the bed. I can see our bed. It's really hot, honey.
Shit. It's back. How do you turn this around on the...
Look at the size of that dildo. My God, don't show mine.
How do you turn...
That's for you.
I don't know how to do this
So
on here.
I don't So, I had a thought while I was walking away. I don't know if it's backtracking too much, but you were pointing out, oh, that's a mole, that's a jellyfish, and everything. Is I would kind of
How the hell do you turn this around?
is something that I do want to present to people is that the image is not in isolation. It is also the lens which captures that image is important, is
Yep.
how often have you worked, not you specifically, this is a hypothetical for everybody. How often have you worked with a spirit or whatnot? Have they truly shown you something that is so alien that is completely beyond your comprehension, something that you cannot relate to anything else whatsoever? It's most often a remix of the things that you know and understand on some
Yes.
level,
Yeah, yeah.
even if it's
Well, it's why in I think I said it in Become the Maelstrom, but I'll say it here if I didn't. This is why their gnosis that they give us is limited to what we are capable of knowing or already know. It's always built out of fragments of information we have accessible to us. I know that there's reports of people who speak a language they've never heard before and all that, and I know that there's something to that, but that doesn't mean that they did it that way. If you understand what I'm saying, it's possible that there's some other way that they did it. But in my experience, anytime that I have been given gnosis or prophecy from one of these beings, from a demon or an angel or something like that, it's always been in conceptual ideas that I was familiar enough with that I could use them. So when I first awakened to the spiritual beings and my possessions first began, and it always strikes me as remarkable because it's like if I was making this up, I was smart to do it the way I did it, because I left room for it to change. And I said, as you know, when I was possessed, I don't remember all of it because some of this is recorded, some of it was told to me, but I remember very specifically being told that one of the things it said was that the story that it was going to tell was in the language of what we would understand. That there are no angels, there are no demons, God is not God, heaven is not heaven, hell is not hell, but it was going to use that symbolism because it was the one that was native to our minds and we could understand it. And then it proceeded to tell a story about angels that had a war in heaven against the proclamations of a God, and that some of them chose to rebel and some of them chose not to. And some of them chose not to take a side, and they were cast out along with the wicked ones, and all of this stuff. And it made sure to tell me and everybody else present that those were metaphors, not to take them seriously, but that they set up the allegorical meaning of the story was accurate, but not the literal translation. There is no heaven, no hell, no angels fighting, but there is some kind of a division, some kind of a separation, and that causes some kind of disharmony and discord in the spirit realm, and it led to what we see today. Now, that could even be a metaphor for something in the human consciousness. It may not. Don't take that literally either. You have to keep taking these things as literal stories and just constantly tear them apart and look for the core allegorical truth behind it. And there's a lot of layers you can go through.
Fun. The literal story is fun as fuck and entertaining, but seldom is it the meat of what really matters.
Yeah. Well, Rouse, don't forget the Gnostics were, I don't know how to speak Enochian, but I know how to read it. Yeah, the Gnostics were, they were part of the Neoplatonic stuff. A lot of what they got was from Neoplatonism. So Neoplatonism was right, and the Gnostics kind of simplified it into an esoteric path. But that's my understanding of it anyway. But so the thing that's right about it, the thing that they get right, is that Gnosticism is an offshoot of the Neoplatonic non-dual principles of Plotinus and other characters in that thing, of course, building upon Platonism and all that stuff. And of course, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump away from Vedanta. Vedanta is more mystical, I guess. It's more feely, It's more intuitive and feely and less technical, but it is utterly crystalline in its logic. If you look up the Vedas on how non-dualism is structured, if you can get around the lingo, the weird sounding lingos and the dudes with elephant heads in the Hindu religion, if you can get around all that stuff and you get to the allegory, if you understand what they're saying, if you take the terminology and use English words that mean the same basic thing, you get this crystalline, logical story and understanding that is not when I say it is not the same as Neoplatonism or Gnosticism, it is also not Neoplatonism. It is not in conflict with it either. Those are other ways of telling a very similar truth. It's just maybe some of the relationships to some of the words are a little different. You have the idea of source and Sophia, the demiurge and all that stuff. The demiurge is Maya. It's the same basic thing, or Brahman and Atman, and all these Atman are the shadows that are cast by the demiurge. It's all the same things. It's just the imagery is a little different. It's all kind of the same thing, but said a different way. Just like I was saying with the angels and the demon war and everything else. It's allegorically accurate, but maybe the words don't resonate exactly, right? So yeah, Upanishads are fucking awesome. I love the Vedas. I like all that. I'm not, I don't need to listen to them all though. They're really good. I don't need to read them all. It's not necessary because those are stories meant to encapsulate some. You can understand non-dualism. I could tell you non-dualism. I mean, I don't want to paint myself into a box here, but probably in a paragraph or less, probably a sentence or two. It's not a difficult concept. It's just getting it to sit as a mind virus enough for you to contemplate it long enough to accept it is difficult. Because if I tell you, everybody in this chamber listening to me right now has heard all are one and one are all. We've all heard that countless times. It's always been like spooky woo, new age fluff, and we all go, yeah, sure. And then you come to realize it's true, and it is that simple. The simpler explanation is awareness is all there is, and everything that we experience is an experience within awareness. Awareness is the one, awareness is the monad, and here we are in non-dualism. Let's get off of that. But yes, that's why I want to talk to them about this. I want to ask these aliens about that. But let's, part of the point of tonight's stream, and poor Kamila has been totally quiet, and I think that I want to get back into the stuff that's more the speed of what we can talk about. I want to talk about speculation for next month, because that's really the point of this title of this stream, is to really talk about that. We've already gone through the whole, are aliens possible? Yes. Are they flying around like Buck Rogers and Han Solo and Captain Kirk? No, I really don't think so. Are they Time Lords? Probably not. What are they? Most likely post-singularity minds that are flying around in machines that take so little energy we wouldn't detect them. Because you have to understand, if you're talking about a post-singularity mind that's in a computer, it could function on so little energy it wouldn't give off enough radiation to detect. There's your Fermi Paradox solution, by the way. Possibly. So anyway, so what's going to happen next month? So next month, for those of you who don't know, back in December 27 of 2020, right before everything happened with the thing we're not allowed to talk about without getting, all kinds of trouble with YouTube, because they don't like when you talk about this stuff too clearly. A certain president signed into law a directive that was part of a plan to fund COVID and other things. And in so doing, there was an attachment that was totally unrelated to the crisis of the COOF, which was basically a variant of what conspiracy theorists have been calling disclosure for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. It's this idea that the government knows about aliens and UFOs, keeping it secret, and that at some point will reveal it as part of a false flag or an effort to unify the world under a common issue, whether it be a threat or something, to unify the world with this revelation. And that they will reveal that aliens are real and blah, 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 blah. So during that December 27th signing, one of the declarations was the Pentagon and all of this stuff was given 180 days to declassify all of the information that they have on UAPs, to do a special report for Congress. Of course, some things would remain classified, so there's a lot we will not see. Just so you know, we won't see a lot of the data, the radar data. We won't see a lot of the good stuff that would really, really tell us for sure. But we will see, I'm sure, a lot of dashboard cam video from fighter planes and everything else showing a lot of crazy shit. And it's not going to be like investigations of close encounters of the third kind where people are getting abducted or anything. It's going to be a bunch of lights in the sky on camera. And the implication is going to be very simple. And I'm predicting it's going to be this. It's going to be just like the stuff we've seen already in the last few months, that Go Fast video and some of the other ones that just came out. It's going to be a lot of that stuff. And it's going to be pretty much ironclad in the fact that the objects on film will be doing things that are impossible for the technology that we know of to do. That is to say, hypersonic speeds, including underwater. That means maneuvers that are hundreds of Gs, and it will not be explainable away as a glitch or a smudge on the camera. I was watching some live stream, Kyle Hill, I like his show, but he's doing this and he's like, well, if you look how the spaceship, whatever this is centered on the camera the whole time, that's obviously got to be probably a smudge. I'm like, no, you fool, that's the tracking camera on the airplane that is capable of tracking missiles going at supersonic speeds. Of course it can track something it's circling around and keep it dead center of the camera. Oh my God. So there's people already putting their blinders on and don't want to know what this could be. They're already debunking it before it's even out. So my prediction is they're going to reveal all this. The only plausible solutions will include either A, this is secret government programs from our or other countries that have technology that is 50 years in advance of what we know about, which is rational because if you think about the stealth bomber, if you think about the SR-71, by the time they were released, it was already 50 years or so, 20 to 30, 50 years since they were first put into use before they were admitted to. In fact, a lot of those boomerang-shaped UFOs were stealth bombers, probably, most likely at the time. So there's probably stuff that our drones can do that probably do have technology and capability that we can only imagine in science fiction. It is 50 years or more ahead of where we are.
And
easily.
I don't think
doubt
that's
it.
very conspiratorial or anything to say, is that, you know, the fucking ask anybody who is working like in the know with the government like 50 years or military, whatnot, 50 years ago, and just like, oh yeah, the shit that we're using on a consumer level now, like we had early prototypes of that back then. Like, yeah.
And so I'm predicting, so that's one outcome, is that this is technology that we genuinely have that is being misidentified, because remember, UFO does not mean alien. In fact, they changed the term to UAP for a reason, unidentified aerial phenomena. It's not UFO because everyone hears UFO and goes, aliens! It's a meme, it's a trope, it's so strong that you can't say UFO without somebody seeing a flying saucer, even if it's not there. So that's partly why some of the skeptics have their panties in a bunch, is because this is a valid reveal, whatever it is. But part two of the explanation is there's no way that this is going to be a reveal that is not a psyop. If you think that this is going to be a genuine reveal where they're at the mercy of the laws of the land and they've got to tell us about aliens now, you need to put the crack pipe down. They are going to lie to you even when they're telling you the truth. So whatever comes out, even if they're telling you the truth, that's a manipulation. They're lying to you just by telling you the truth. Do not ever, 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 ever trust any of this crap until the alien lands in your yard and says, come on board, we're taking you for a ride. And even then, make sure you can bring your gun, because for all you know, you're going to be put into a soup, just like to serve man. You don't fucking know. Well, don't trust this shit at all. Go ahead, sweetie.
It's not only that, it's whenever some big revelation comes about, it's covering up something else that's going on.
Yes. That's very true.
So,
it's very likely that
covering up.
or a diversion. Look, everyone is sick and tired of the 2020 situation. Everyone is absolutely, utterly sick of everything to do with 2020. Nobody won 2020. There is nobody that I know that is happy with how 2020 turned out. Nobody. Everyone who's even going, well, at least we got Orange Man out, even they're going, fuck, 2020 sucks, and 2021 still sucks, and I don't like what we got either. Everybody is mad. Everybody knows something's wrong. Everybody is in an abused relationship and is looking for the door. Everybody's divided, and they needed that for a year to do what they did, to do a huge power grab. Now they need to solidify control of that power and unify us somehow on something new and shiny. It's probably going to be maybe this, maybe war in Israel, maybe war in Asia, maybe all three at once. It's going to be fun to find out. But this is not going to be an organic reveal. This is going to be propaganda. Pure and simple. It's going to be mindfuck territory. It's exciting, and I'm hoping that they're going to be, it's fucking aliens, I guess. You know, I want to see I want to see them drop the mic on it. I'd love that, just because the fantasy would be so much fun. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm expecting it to be a whole bunch of things. We don't know what they are. They're totally impossible to the technology we admit to having. And that's where they're going to drop it. And then everyone else is going to go crazy. It's going to make everybody happy who wants to believe in aliens. It's going to make all the skeptics have a whole bunch of grist for the mill that they can bitch about. It's going to be a whole thing, and it's going to be fun. And for the next decade, they're going to be just trickling more and more of it in. And maybe they'll normalize the idea that aliens are real more and more. And maybe we'll find life on Mars or something. And maybe in our lifetime, they'll say, yeah, we knew about aliens. Sorry. We had to keep it secret. You know,
hold on.
Doubt it, though.
I think I got a sticker up here. Hold on. Let me just give this to you. You found a way to make the topic of aliens not fun. That's good. Good job. That was
right? I'm sorry, but the whole world is like that. It's gonna be, even if it's legit, it's gonna be used as a distraction to fuck you. That's given. I mean, I don't see any other way to look at it.
Well,
so even if it's
to come at it, admittedly, this is kind of, we've already kind of answered this question one way, but maybe framing it a different way as well is the timing of right now, because it definitely feels like, because this has been going on for a little bit, even before December, of there seems to be more and more disclosure coming out. Is outside of that thought, do you have any idea for why right now does it seem like we're flirting with this idea, or is the fucking mothership coming and just like, okay, we need to get everybody on board for this. We need to, hey guys, so this might be a thing coming up.
There's only a couple of things that come to mind. One was a dream I had, which was aliens are telling us that they want to induct us into their federation, but the only way they will is if humanity is united under one government enough that they can deal with only one entity to do so, because they don't feel it's fair, being that they're from outside this planet, to speak to all of us at once. That's unreasonable. You know, it's like, it's crazy to even consider. Could you speak to 7 billion people? I don't think so. So they want a spokes representative organization to speak to, and they need a consensus. And to do that, they don't care if we get there by peace or by war, so long as there's one consensus, because they don't care about us that way. They're not sitting there going to be like, oh, you killed half your people to make the consensus. They don't care about that. They just want to make sure that we have one entity to talk to. Kind of like when we go to a tribal culture somewhere, we look for the biggest, baddest tribe. We don't care if they're killing everybody around them. We want to talk to them and make the deal with them for the diamonds in the ground. That's what we want to do. Same shit here. I'm sure it won't be any different here. So that's a possibility. Another possibility is that false flag territory shit. Don't forget, Orange Man started Space Force. I'm sure he did that based on a military industrial contract that was set up, you know, partially how he was probably allowed to be the man in chief was something like that. And so he played ball with them, set up Space Force, because that means a lot of fucking money to the DARPA and Deep Black and all that kind of, you know, top secret shit. You know, you go to the dullest lights. Area 51's what do they call it? A decoy, by the way. There's nothing going on there. But, you know, you go to these other places that they don't, the other Area 51s that you're not allowed to know about, the shit that they have there would curl your toenails. That we know is probably there, let alone the stuff we don't. So very likely, Space Force is a huge, it's just like the cities in China that don't have anybody living in them, but they keep building them anyway. If you look up ghost cities, it's kind of the same thing. It's a project to direct funds at, to make people rich so that they've got a way to move money around. And that could be what it is. It could be that. It could be that maybe there's a big interplanetary war coming, like you said, the armada's coming, and we have friendly aliens and enemy aliens, and we've got to be prepared. I don't buy that one for a minute. That's too Star Wars, but could be, it could be.
Going your Area 51 decoy thing. Remember that time we were looking at Google Earth and we zoomed into, what was it, Fort Drum or Fort Hood, and it was like painted. It wasn't even the real satellite image.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore. When I looked at it more recently, it was at least it looked real. But yes, when we looked at it back in like the noughties or whatever it was, when Google Earth first came out, Area 51 was crystal clear. You could see every detail, but you couldn't see Fort Drum. I found that hilarious because that to me is like, duh, of course they're going to make that one obvious because, it
wasn't even done good. It was like in MS Paint.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that makes sense because they didn't want anybody to see with that technology where the troop deployments were on the base. They didn't want to have that be accessible, which is why they showed it to you on Area 51, because they want you to see that, because that one's bullshit. They want people to go, look at the length of that runway. They must be doing UFO work there. Yep. Okay, that's fine. So that's it. Look, they did the same thing in World War II. They tricked the Germans into thinking we were gonna attack a different place in France or in Italy. They had all these deceptions going on to the point where they took a body and dropped it off in Italy somewhere so that they'd think we were going to invade there. And then they had literally, would they hire Houdini or somebody? They hired, I think it was Houdini, to help them concoct a magical ploy, literally like stage magic ploy, to deceive them, the Germans, into thinking we were going to attack like 200 miles to the south by having fake warships with tanks painted on them that their aerial reconnaissance would think were real. All kinds of crazy shit is what they do. This is par for the course. Like, trust nothing. Like, what is it? The truth is out there, but you're not going to hear it on TV, and you're not going to learn it from the government, and trust no one. Like, that's it.
Ross says, Thorne, you and me and some katanas. Let's storm Area 51.
Wait till we're in our 80s, because my plan is, when I'm given a terminal illness, I'm going to go find a bunch of other people with terminal illnesses. Like if I'm in my 80s or maybe even now, and I'll be like, look, we're going to pick something that is so heavily top secret and guarded that they're not going to let us in. And we're going to go with everything strapped to us that we can to keep us alive and take video live while we do it. And we're going to stream it, and we're going to have all these redundancies. And I'm just going to be like a kamikaze, truth-seeking missile, where I'm just going to fly in there on an ATV with a fucking, with a helmet with horsehair on it. Dun, 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 dun.
You tell me what the 11 secret herbs and spices are right now.
Yes, exactly that. That is the plan. And it'll probably be alien snot. So that is exactly. No, we don't even need the katanas. I'm just going to go in, like, if you've ever watched the movie The Gauntlet with Clint Eastwood, we're going to get a bus, and we're going to just like plate it with steel, and we're just going to go into the desert right through the gates of Area 51. It takes about an hour to drive from the gate, by the way, I believe, to the main place. So we're probably not going to make it very far. But we're going to try. But this is what I said. Not just me. We're going to get, like, remember Storm Area 51? Instead of that was the best plan. That is such a millennial, post-millennial, Gen Z, beautiful postmodern plan. I could not. It would work. It would work. You could have done the clapping of cheeks. It should have been attempted. It should have happened. Funded by Dogecoin and Elon Musk. So my final thing, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys for a while, is that it's either going to be what I said already, that it's going to be a bunch of unknowns that are probably either our technology or aliens maybe, or also reverse engineered alien tech. That's the other, you split the difference and say, hey, those are our planes that we're getting video of, but they're reverse engineered alien stuff. That's why we can do what we can do in those videos. Or it's really aliens. Me personally, I think that if aliens have the ability to get here, they're not dumb enough to get caught on camera that easily, so obviously. Just my thinking, because, you know, it doesn't grok for me that these things are that dubiously dumb that they're going to be like, are they looking? Are you sure they're on camera? Good. Now do the 90-degree turn really quick. They're not going to do that. They're going to.
Oh,
I used to have a
this
joke.
is gonna trip them the fuck out, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
this.
Woo! Fucking Elon Musk Roadster on the hood as a horn ornament on one of their things. So I mean, it's to me it's ridiculous. In fact, I used to joke around with people I knew growing up, and we'd see a plane going over. I'm like, oh look, it's another one of those UFO, one of those aliens described as it's another one of those alien spaceships camouflaged as a 747, and that's more likely. That is more likely than, in my opinion, if these aliens are remotely intelligent, right? If they don't want to be found out, they're not going to be found out. That's just my guess. I mean, to put it another way, if you were flying over the Tutsi Wutsi tribe somewhere in some part of the world where they don't even have, you know, clothes, could you watch them without being detected? Of course you could. Of course you could. Oh, there is one other option that we didn't touch, and that's interdimensional travelers. There is that. That maybe, you know, that's another maybe. The irony is, if you understand my perspective of consciousness, it is easier to shift your consciousness to another dimension than it is to move your body 5 feet. If you understand my philosophy of Maya, an understanding of what I see, I believe that it is easier to move your consciousness to a completely Mandela effect different universe than it is to even burp or walk or sneeze or anything, because that physical stuff is the illusion. The moving of consciousness is the reality. So in theory, if you are properly detached from your delusion of self, which I don't know if that's possible for me, I don't think it's possible yet. Probably when I'm dreaming, you know, like if you've ever dreamed of an alien planet, maybe that's exactly what you did. Maybe you went there in your consciousness. And that's a real place, but there's no way to know for sure because you can't go there with your body. So how would you know? Because we are an embodied mind. We think we are our bodies, and so therefore anything that happens that is not done to our body, we don't treat as real. It's part of the Maya delusion. So in my philosophy, traveling to other dimensions or even other planets in this one is easy if your consciousness is what's moving. That's easy. In fact, imagine what the planet Pandora looks like in the movie Avatar. Can you picture it in your mind? Can you smell the flowers? You just went there.
Somebody was
that's a
actually
fact.
bringing up that earlier.
Were they? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So, you were asking us what we think is going to happen with this disclosure next month and everything, and I want to posit that everybody seems to be mostly with you here. However, I'm going to radically shift away and say that
Get off my stream. No.
that our perception creates our reality, and that, think about how much fun what DH said is. Now I want to present this idea, is that the government's in contact with aliens, and they're kind of priming us like, okay, get ready. We're about to clap some cheeks. It's not here yet, but the mothership, they said they got a little bit mixed up. Siri told them to take a left when they should have taken a right, but they're going to get here and, oh man, we're going to bring the best space weed. We're going to have a good...
So I have no doubt that in some iteration of the multiverse, that's exactly what happened. So let me turn this over to you guys more. Or let me turn it more over to your speculation or things you've seen. Now that I've chewed your ear off and for this for like a long time, Kamila, do you have any speculation for next week, next month?
My brain kind of runs the gamut with all this. Everywhere between, happy-go-lucky stuff and more conspiratory stuff. um, with the whole rollout of the vaccine and all that, it kind of leans more conspiratorial. Like, was this the vaccine part of preparation for all this? And not that I think that there's microchips in the vaccine, because I don't really think that, but if there is, would that be what ushers us on the alien UFOs? In that sense,
Dude,
okay,
you guys
have people to eat, kind of thing,
You guys totally gotta get that alien birth control, and as a side effect, it totally stops all corona. Here you go. 5, sir.
Now, birth control. That's been that I really sterilization is absolutely ongoing. I mean,
yeah.
If you look at the testosterone levels since the 80s and what's causing it, it's absolutely not even a joke. It's so obvious that it's being done, I would say, on purpose. There's no way that the data we see could be an accident kind of thing. There's no way it could be an accident.
If the vaccine, in my opinion, if the vaccine causes sterilization, I think that would just be a side effect and not intentional, because, I mean, really, there's enough of that going on. They don't need that to
Well, it wouldn't be this one that does it. They're going to make this one as perfect as they can so that everybody takes it, and the people who don't will be ridiculed. See, it was perfectly safe, and basically it's the boy who cried wolf thing. This one will be safe. This is why I'm not afraid of it. I got it. I'm not afraid of it because I know this is the sucker punch, right? It's like, I wouldn't hit you, buddy. This would be the safe one because they want to make sure the people who think it's not safe look like idiots in 5 years. When it's like, all the studies show nothing happened. Don't you feel stupid now for not getting it? Oh, I guess you're right. Vaccines are safe. Give it 10, 20 years. That's when they make it mandatory, you're fucked. I'm sorry. I never allow it to be mandatory. Vaccines are wonderful. They're great. They're one of the greatest inventions ever. Never, ever let them be mandatory. My body, my rules. Plain and simple. That's it. But yeah.
You mentioned bringing it up to other people. We actually did have one story from Wyatt. He said that at around 4:00 p.m. his time, him and his friends saw a small black dot floating in the sky, perfectly still from our perspective. It seemed like it could have been a meteor. It was pretty weird because it was just hanging right there.
Yeah, meteor wouldn't do that. Unless it was coming directly at you or away from you.
And stream crashed again. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Boy.
What is going on? Like, I heard you guys just fine. Like, there was no interruption on my end. So.
Am I still here?
Yep. Yeah, you're still there. Yeah. Honestly, the internet's been flaky today. I don't know what's going on. I've been having problems with my computer all day too. They're probably uploading the simulation program. They're probably updating it, and the matrix is shifting. So.
I was so afraid it was going to happen on my end tonight that I was going to warn you, like, hey, I might be dropping out. Internet might be bad tonight. And it's fine, but I think just my perception manifested reality. Speaking of manifesting reality, I'm a little bit late to this because I only recently saw it because of the fucking meme I posted, but have you guys seen that? I swear this is magically related. I'm gonna get there. You guys have seen the video of that dude getting smacked with a fucking twisted T in the face, right?
Oh, so I love that one. I love that one. I love when that came out.
Yeah.
The memes were fantastic. There was pictures of like guns and then a twisted T, like they were gonna ban twisted T next. Like, oh man, that was so good.
I want to bring up though something that maybe not everybody caught with that. That dude that got fucking punched with a twisted T, that man is a magician. He manifested his reality. He called out, "What are you going to do? Hit me with that twisted T?" And look at what happened 5 seconds later. His magic worked, and he got knocked the fuck out.
Oh, man. Let me see. Yeah, give us your opinions, guys. I'm reading the chat. Sounds like people are discussing here different things, making sure that everybody's being nice. Somebody saying thank you, Trump. I don't know what that's about. Well, why don't you guys? So, Kamila, do you think that they're going to be revealing aliens, or do you think it's going to just be, oh, we don't know? Here's the video. What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's gonna be a whole lot of nothing.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna release videos, you know, maybe some like transcripts or something, but I really don't think it's gonna be much of anything.
You think the anticipation is going to be like, because my understanding is this, that the government's already admitted to UFOs being real, not that they're aliens, but they've already admitted to them being completely real. They don't know what they are, they say. And so this is just a data dump of more evidence of that, right? So
yeah, I mean, with the way technology is, I don't think they're going to admit that it's ours or anyone else's on this planet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all going to stay hush hush.
So it's just going to be a distraction, diversion, and it's probably not even going to be that exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to go over like a lead balloon. Like, oh yeah, here's another video, by the way.
Well, don't forget, many other countries have already done this. Russia did this like 2 decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Argentina did it 1 year, not too long ago. I mean, it's like when some of these other countries did it, I remember like everyone going, oh, that's just a psyop to fuck with us. They don't really have aliens. And it's like, what are we doing now?
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, I think that you can't trust them even when they're telling you the truth anymore.
Yeah. So,
you know, this is going to be a frustrating unknown probably for our entire life.
Yeah.
My hope is that they'll be honest to us and tell us when they find life on, you know, Europa or something. I really hope that they'll tell us that, because that's all I'll need to hear. The moment you say that there are alien microbes somewhere else other than Earth, then at that point I'll go to bed happy. You know what I mean? They could be like, by the way, you also have cancer and are going to die in 3 days. That's cool, man. I know now, and I'll be good, because then I know that the universe is filled with life, and of course that's terrifying too, because, you know, it's terrifying too, because if life is plentiful, where's the advanced life? When we say advanced, I mean technologically speaking. That's the great filter part of the Fermi Paradox, is, are we ahead of it or is it behind us? Are we heading for extinction, or did we pass the extinction point already and we're in the great unknown? Are we the first species to achieve this level of technology in the universe or even the galaxy? Maybe, maybe not. And if life is plentiful, the more plentiful life is, the more strange it is we're the only ones with radios. That's, to put it in stupid terms.
You know, going back to what you said about the other countries already releasing stuff like that. Remember that movie, The Arrival?
I think so. Is that the one where they were like talking with the little circle swipey things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other countries were given parts of schematics or whatever it was, and all the nations had to work together.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and their whole language was actually temporal in nature too. It wasn't just in spatial dimension. It was in temporal dimension. I remember that. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Part of me is hoping that if that's the case, you know, work together as one world. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, some people have asked me, like, Thorne, why don't you channel about aliens or something like that? And quite frankly, there's things that biases take over even in channelings and possessions and stuff. I got to be honest with you. Especially if you don't, you know, it's like, if I were to ask a spirit about something that I feel really strongly about emotionally and I'm attached to the answer, I don't know if I'd trust my answer, you know? And I might record it, I might say it, I might do something with it, but I wouldn't treat it as anything more than speculation from my own spiritual center. You know, I wouldn't treat it as anything yet. You know, I will tell you that my intuition says Aliens are plentiful. They are spiritually advanced beings that probably do talk to us on the astral plane, and we probably go visit them too. There's probably a lot going on, but we do it when we're sleeping because we're too stupid when we're awake to realize it's possible. That's probably, something like that is probably true. And it could be that the demons and angels and shit we see are, beings that are disembodied aliens. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. Don't care. That's not, to me, there's a point where things get too material and they don't matter anymore. It's like, when I say too material, I mean like I'll give you a good example. When people categorize spirits as if they're biological beings to like a type and species, to me that's bizarre and absurd. So like when you say that's a poltergeist, that's a ghost, that's a wraith, that's a god, that's a demon, that's a jinn, that's a this, that's a that. To me, that is, it's useful in the cataloging sense of mythology, but in the spiritual sense, I don't think it's as useful. I've never spoken to one spirit and another and it goes, well, they're a demon and I'm not.
Yeah. Except
in that story I told in the beginning where they told me none of that is accurate. It's the metaphor that they're telling me through. So that's the only time they said angels and demons. It was always, we are here, we're watching, we speak through you, we're spiritual entities like you are. And someone will call us an angel and some will call us a demon, but that's not what we are. But you might as well call us that because that's all you know how to say it.
It's kind of like getting hung up on, well, is this book sci-fi or does it count as fantasy? It's like getting hung up on that as opposed to, was it a good fucking story? Like, not to say it's not useful,
exactly.
But was it a good story first and foremost?
No, fair, totally fair. And it's the other issue is mistaking the Platonic form for the material truth, and that's another problem, and Rouse says another man's alien is another man's demon. Exactly. So when people are saying aliens are demons and demons are aliens, I don't see that as a problem either. I don't like that flavor though. Like, to me, that's the wrong flavor because I think that realistically speaking, I have a definition of alien being, an alien entity in my mind that transcends just the spiritual. It's got a biological component to it, but that's also a materialistic perspective. Like, there's my hard skeptic side coming out and saying, they've got to be two different things, which maybe isn't accurate. Maybe they are the same thing. Like, that's why I say I never like to slam the door on anything unless it's so superstitious that I've got to entertain the superstition without believing in it. Like I'll say I talk to demons, but I don't really think they're demons, right? That's why I say spirits. If you guys know me long enough, you know that I generally say spirits instead of gods, demons, or other things, unless I'm really specifically trying to be categorical somehow for some reason. If someone says to me, D.H. Thorne, I need you to contact blah blah blah, I'll be like, my spirits tell me this, meaning interchangeable with like the word Loa, with like in voodoo or something. I see them as entities, as beings, as egregores, as archetypes, as conscious beings, but they're non-local and disembodied, and they didn't create the world, and they don't have superpowers. They're elements of our psyche, consciousness, astral mind that we can tap into, and in that interplay cause shifts in consciousness that let us go where we want to go and see what we want to see. If you want $1 million, you don't manifest $1 million. The word manifest is more synonymous with to make clear or to make apparent. Manifest does not mean cause or effect or outcome. It is not the same thing as billiard tables where you smack a ball and you manifest a good break. Manifestation is experiential in nature. So if I manifest $1 million, I am not creating the $1 million. I am moving into some place in the continuum of possibility where the $1 million exists, and I experience it there. That is not the same thing as causing $1 million to happen. It is, I am going to the $1 million. It's like when they say the mountains came to Muhammad. It's the same kind of idea. I am not causing the mountains to happen. I am going to them consciously. So when I do magic and I work with Clowneck and I say, Clowneck, I need prosperity, he doesn't cause the world to ripple and money land in my lap. He causes me to have a sequence of events that make that money rational when I get it. and I can still go, wow, I did a ritual for that. Isn't that something? That's the magic. It's not cause and effect, in my opinion. It's just not. And silence falls over the crowd. Everyone's gonna be like, is it working? Is the internet working?
I'm absorbing.
Absorb that.
I do keep having that moment.
I'm actually experiencing a lag.
Oh boy.
So I think I'm actually going to call it a night.
Oh.
Technical difficulties.
I was just gonna let you talk for an hour.
I got nothing to say for an hour.
I know, you just wanted to be on just to hang out too. You were like, I got nothing to say. I just want to be there.
Well,
I'm like, all right, you know me.
Say, but it's with the work season, it's finally winding down a little bit. It's nice to touch.
I mainly mean, don't read into what I'm saying. I mainly just meant you were happy to just be on the show.
I know what you mean.
Good. Fight me. Fight me with your clothes off. Let's go.
In the dark.
That's right. Throw those clothes on the floor. I'll be right there.
Not fighting.
It's like fighting.
Loss of words. I'm sorry. There's a lot of words I could make, but none that I'm gonna do on stream.
Wyatt's talking about the time traveling humans. Wyatt, humans don't time travel.
Yeah.
Consciousness does. No, consciousness time travels.
No,
in fact, that's the only time travel stories I like.
We're gonna get to the point where our bodies time travel. Just you wait. I'm gonna be fucking Doctor Who. I'm gonna just abduct people. Be like, you're my companion now. Get inside of my Superman fucking telephone booth.
You know, Doctor Who could be totally real, and the way that he travels is as a meme that reappears in our culture over and over and over again, of a time traveler from the future that's a time lord that has control over time and space like that. But he's not actually a physical being that we could ever talk to. It's literally just a bunch of stories, and it is embedded and imbued with consciousness of its own. So it is a time traveling entity that travels through our history, but it's not a physical being that moves. Have fun with that.
I like that. And on that note,
time is a complete illusion, Eric. Time is a complete. Eric O'Shea says we exist beyond time. Time is a complete and utter illusion. You want me to tell you how this works?
Hold on.
Don't leave.
Oh.
Don't come.
I got.
Have a good night.
You got a what?
You too. Good night.
We love you, sweetheart. At least I do. I don't know about everybody else. They're probably douchebags and don't love you.
Oh.
Oh, she's gone. No, come back.
But she left with such a
I feel like I talked too much.
Smile.
I feel like I talked way too much and she got bored. Now I have to just... I'm glad I gave you guys like a half hour to talk first. That's fine.
You know who hasn't had a chance to talk, though? Our first caller. Do you want me to... We'll finish up this thought and then I'll bring them on?
Well, yeah, let's finish up the thought. We'll bring them on then. Okay, so...
Cool.
Make a few basic statements. You are one and one is all and all is one. There is the non-dual source, the monad, the awareness that you truly are experiencing the all that you think you are. There is that. And Maya is an illusion. Now that illusion is made up of, I call, three primary illusions, three primary separations. Each one of those is an illusion. The first is time. Time is a completely illusory concept. It is the totality of source separated from before and after. That is the first dimension of separation, before and after being two separate things. The next one is space, spatial. One place from another. That is the second dimension of separation. So the first is time, because obviously you have to have one come first. If that's the case, then time is going to be the first one. It doesn't matter when the other one happened. But so yeah, the first one's time, and it's completely illusory. The second one is space, and that is one place from another being separate and not the same place. The final delusion, the final illusion, the final separation is perspective or relativity. That is to say, you have before and after. Well, now you also have now. That is the illusion of position, of perception, of relativity. You have not only one place and another place, but you have here. That is the spatial version of relativity and perception and perspective. So that creates identity. The fallout from that is you get identity out of those things. And with identity comes next has to be forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is the final ingredient for Maya. You have to forget that you're all of these things. So one could argue that forgetfulness maybe comes first, but forgetfulness really manifests last, because you could be all of these things and know it. It is the forgetfulness that makes them finally appear as Maya fully. To think that you are separate and forget that you are whole. To think that before is separate from later. To think that you are separate from before or after. To think that now is separate from then. That is all a forgetting. That is all that is. It's just a forgetting. And that is the nature of what's going on. So time is an illusion. To me, there's no doubt. It is not that we don't experience it. You can experience an illusion fully. A hologram isn't real, but you can still play with it and talk to it and have all kinds of experiences with it. It doesn't mean it's real. We reify the illusion. Just like a wave moving through an ocean is a reification of something. The wave is not moving through the ocean. A wave propagates through the ocean. A wave propagates in that we think the wave is moving, but it's actually one happening, and the position of the happening is translating through the medium. It is propagating through the medium. I know that sounds like the same thing, but if you understand the definition of the words, you know what I'm saying is true. The wave doesn't move through reality. The propagation of the experience of the wave does. Again, this is stuff that's like four-dimensional chess. It's hard to get your brain wrapped around it. But when you do, it clicks and you go, I get it. None of this is real, and I don't have to pretend that it is, except for fun. When death happens, my ego's going to go, well, that was fun. Holy shit, that hurt. That was a funny way to die. Now what? I don't know. Maybe that's not what will happen. Maybe it'll be like a light going off and I'll just turn on somewhere else. I don't know. But I do know that this is illusory, and even science knows it to a great degree. Even rational skeptics, if they're invoking Einstein, know that time is relative. Relative means it's not an absolute or a constant, which means it's not real. It is not something that is real. It is real for the observer, but not real in the objective sense, if that makes sense. So, yeah. I like that. Ajna says, infinity do be infinite.
Very, very plainly stated. I like it. Direct and to the point. So, you know what? Before I forget, I wanted to bring up, and this might be before we take the first caller, this might be a good buy our crap segment. But next week, what I really want to do is open up a stream where it is all about, as my birthday stream, we will do what do you guys want to talk about? Just completely improv, more than normal. We will go off what you guys suggest, answer as many questions as we can and whatnot. So if you have anything, make sure to join the Discord, hit us up. Send me an email, flesh_priest@protonmail.com for anything that you want to talk about. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's usually what I do when I don't have you on. Like, you bring out the ranter in me somehow. I mean, I rant when you're not here, but I rant according to the chat. I don't rant according to what I feel like I do when it's you. So
what you're saying is I shouldn't be there for my birthday stream to make the vision possible.
Ooh. No, but then I'll be squirming because I won't know what to say. I'm so used to you now. I don't know what to say when you're not here.
You know what? As a segue onto the buy our crap thing, somebody was asking earlier, any new books in the work? And I know you have been working on one. What is the, if you can give us a little preview, what's the status on that?
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
You know, that's like when I used to work for certain companies, they'd be like, I'm working diligently, but I got so many different irons and so many different fires because one of my personal flaws is I'm a scanner. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's not a lot of topics I don't have a lot of opinion on. There's not a lot of things that I don't have some knowledge about. Doesn't mean I'm a genius, although maybe I am. It just means that I have a problem. I almost have like ADD, but it's so high functioning that I put it to good use rather than than being like just scatterbrained. So when it comes to projects, I had decided a long time ago that if I was going to be an author, I should probably be a short fiction writer, because I could write a story a day and have it be different every time, so I could always follow my passions and whims whenever they pop up. As a writer of magical work, I am hitting that bad place where I'm almost trying to outdo myself. You know, it's like I've written 3 things and I'm living in the shadow of those 3 things, and I read those 3 things and I go, I could have improved on that. I could rewrite this. So I started rewriting Become the Maelstrom, and I'm looking at what I wrote, and it's great and it's very ranty, and I'm going to delete probably the whole thing. Because you know, I think that I'm going to run into the flaw of becoming dogmatic in my work. And though I do have a dogma, and I do talk about it constantly with non-dualism, it's not a dogma for me because it's something I have more or less proven to myself. You know, a dogma is a thing you adopt that is something you just accept, like on faith or without evidence, or because it's doctrinal or something like that. Dogma, you know, that's why, like in chaos magic, when they say have no dogma, one might argue that that's a dogma, to have no dogma, you know. So, but there's a reason for it. If you arrive at the
anti-dogma.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, when people come to me, Thorne, you're a dogmatist for non-dualism, I go, not the way I define not the way I define dogmatism. No. If you have experiential evidence, dogma stops being dogma. Like, is it dogma that you breathe air? No, that's factual. You breathe air. Is there God? Now you're getting into dogma territory because you're getting into something that's subjective, right? So dogma doesn't mean lack of subjective truth. It just means make sure it's truly yours. That's how I see it. Anyway, so writing this book, when I'm reading Become the Maelstrom and I'm rewriting it, I'm running into this thing where when I read what I wrote, I'm not satisfied with my original version anymore. I read the chapter on non-duality, I'm like, well, that's a really good, well-written section. Not well-written grammatically or anything, but I like the energy that it came out with. But I disagree with half of what I said, or at least the way I said it. I know where I was coming from, but I didn't communicate it the way I would now. And I look at that first foundational section, I go, these are all really good essays. And I'd like to keep some of them, but I want to add or change them. And so I wrote about 10,000 words of new stuff already to replace or add to that first book in Become the Maelstrom. And then I realized this is quickly becoming a dogma. It doesn't, and not only is it becoming a dogma, but I'm getting too complicated. That is to say, what I'm trying to say is better expressed by poetry than it is by factual reason, because every single fact and reason I give requires 10 other facts and reasons to validate, and I can do so, but then the book goes from, I'm going to give you a book of magic, to I'm writing the entire Upanishads and Vedas for you. That's not my goal. I don't want to do that. I would rather you go look at those yourself. Go read Plotinus, go read the Vedas, go find the works of the different rishis and what they were saying. Go study all the sutras, go study Hermetics, go study the Kabbalion, go study Gnosticism and all that shit, and then you'll be more complete than I can be. And you're basically kind of on the same wavelength that I'm on. It's like a cow regurgitating the same shit over and over and over again and making it more complicated. So I just wrote, yes.
You're, are they just regurgitating, or are they purifying it down into its raw essence?
No, it's entropy. It's just 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 entropy. That's what it is. That's all it is. So rather than do that, I opened up one of my paper journal grimoires, because I have a full intention of finally starting one that I will consider maybe my finished one, which is what I always do every time I buy one. And I know what I wanted to say now in the beginning. Like, every good grimoire has a primer, it has a primer, it has an atlas. I mean, it has a map, it has an index, it has a map, it has a primer, it has a, you know. So I wanted to write it beautifully on the first 10, 20 pages, or 1 or 2 pages even. I wanted to write it so that each page contained maybe 1 or 2 verses of what I wanted to say. So the first third of the book is like a poem where it's like every other page has a paragraph type of thing. You know what I mean? Where it's spaced out big. So it's like statements, and it's the statements are easy to digest one at a time. And when you take that entire section as the whole, you have an outline for what I believe. I was like, that to me is going to be really artsy and fartsy and leave a lot of space for people to insert their own beliefs, but it will trigger something. That's what I'm going to do. So I may take Become the Maelstrom and go from Foundation is this big wordy mess to here is this 3-page invocation, if you will, a mantra. You could read it as a mantra almost. That rhythmic mantra, that in the beginning, and just read that as a mantra. And that would be all you'd need for the non-duality and limitation section. And then I might expand with more ranty, complicated essays after that. Totally optional shit. And then rewrite the methodology section to be maybe, I know a lot of people liked it. I don't think anybody had a problem with the methodology section, but I'm looking at it going, that's good, but let me fix this. Let me correct that. I don't use that breathing technique anymore. Let me change that to be the easier one that I've found since then. The aligning clear is really good, but let me fix that. You know, instead of treating the Trinity of Self this way, let me explain it differently so that it makes better sense to the newcomer. Here's how you use a pentagram in ritual anyway. Circles have importance, but you don't have, you know, I want to add stuff to it for sure. I want to refine Become the Maelstrom. So Become the Maelstrom absolutely is on my menu of revision and re-release soon. TM. That means like it could be 5 years, but it's on the burner. It's happening. It's happening. I also have a book that is autobiographical in nature, where I talk about things that I've done in magic in the last 3 years to say that they're elaborated is fair, but not faked. That is to say, I'm going to be using colorful language to describe the situation, and I'm going to be, you know, dressing it up, but everything that happened. You know, maybe when the cauldron fire blazed up and I saw a image of a phoenix in it, maybe I'll elaborate what the phoenix looked like. But if I had a snapshot of it, it would just be like a little winged shape. You know what I mean? I might do that. I might dress it up, but it will be legit what happened.
It's like that thing. It's like that thing with Aladdin's exception. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. But don't make it a lie. It won't be a lie.
Yeah.
It is every bit as sincere. It's like one of those things where it's like every company's got like its motto or something. My motto is be sincere, don't lie. Mm-hmm. You know, don't make anything up. Elaborate, sure. Tell a good story, sure. But if you say you heard a thump in the middle of the night, don't lie about that. It really happened. Whatever I say happened actually happened. If I say the night was moist and pregnant with energy, ooh, I felt some jitters when I went out there or something, right? That's you know, but I'm elaborating on maybe the intensity or to artfully illustrate it so that you feel similar to what I felt, right? I make it, so that's what I'm doing. And
it's
that's
the
another
spoonful of sugar to help the message get down.
Yes, for sure. And so that's a work in progress. And I stalled out because I found myself explaining things too much rather than just telling a good story with some morals in it. I started getting too technical about this is what I think this is and sure, people would like that, but readability is a thing. I want people to read that and go, that was a good story. And I learned something from it. I want it to be a good myth. That's what I want it to be. And so I stalled out and I started doing Become the Maelstrom to get that technicality shit out of my head. But this all started because I started writing one of my works of fiction, pure fiction again, the Exile story, which I told you about.
Yeah.
I went back into that and I started really writing that. You know why I started writing that? Because I started writing a book called The Greater Keys of Creation, which was meant to be like a deeper dive into the foundational metaphysics of what I believe, sort of like Foundation from Become the Maelstrom, but an entire book's worth, that was going to elaborate on certain fundamental concepts such as what gnosis really means, what paradigm gates are, and what magic is really doing when we're using it, how it actually works, what you're actually doing, and presenting it as a treatise, as a this is how it is, adopt it if you want, this is what I believe is going on, do with it as you will. So I'm tracing back all these books I've been writing. I had a book, Beyond the Goetia, that I turned into some YouTube videos that I may still turn into a small book. Maybe all of these, if I could just edit them into short books, I should do and just release them, but I've reached that thing where I'm a successful artist now, and I don't feel the passion of just releasing what I got and being excited to share it. Now it's like, well, I don't want those to be my masterworks because I feel like I could do better than that. So I'm stalling out. I'm burning out on the before it was just do it, fuck it if it's good or not. Like we're doing it live, like fuck it. And now I'm like trying to be a perfectionist, and that's toxic to creation. That's like one of the worst things you could do. But it's what I'm doing, and I got to get through it. So.
Jay Sauber just hit us with the super chat. Just being his normal, generous self. I fucking love you. Did not even say a word. Just dropped us a tip. Appreciate you,
dude.
Thank
you, Jay Sauber. Thank you. Yeah, he's been a good supporter for a long time, and what can I say? I haven't said already. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. And as usual, if you have any questions, just ask them, man, or any comments even. Something you want to say, please say it. Please say it. Very generous person.
I've got my whole household now is using Jay to describe my sense of humor after Behemoth X last week. Just whenever I post something that is complete nonsense or just seems like a non sequitur, it just respond to me with, Jay.
I forget the entire context, but I remember that happening. That was pretty funny. I forget what he said.
He said Jay.
What did he? He just said Jay, right?
Yeah, he said
he bought us a super chat.
Yeah.
And he just said Jay on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember it now.
It fucking broke me.
Yeah. Oh man.
Fucking shit.
Where's Behemoth X? Is he here? He's not here tonight. I wish he was.
Not tonight.
He'll probably get into that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm done ranting. My voice is dying. Bring on the first sacrifice.
I'm gonna drag this mangy motherfucker right in here right now. Here we go.
Do they want video?
They I don't know if they want video, but they have been on video before. So hello there. Please everybody make welcome once again the great and powerful Patchwork.
Patchy the Workman, do you want video?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I can find you.
All right.
I just saw you pull up Camila's video, right? She is so fucking photogenic.
She
Not
is.
fair. Fucking, she's all photogenic, and I look like I look like a clever joke. That's what I look like.
Do you know what helps? So there's a trick I learned. Obviously, you have the sides of your face that are best and all that, but put your camera higher. Like look up at your camera. It helps take off the weight the camera gives you. It looks way more intense. You look through your eyebrows. You look way more. You get like the what's that guy's name? The Kubrick stare going on. And it lifts your chin, accentuates your features a lot more. When you're looking down, you get frog neck, and that's one of them. And also another good one is to turn a little profile. That's also a good one. What's up? What's up? My wife, on the other hand, she doesn't have to do any of that because she's got all the good bone structure. So she's just like, what's up? Fleshy, I know, I see.
This is how I will address the chat from now on.
I like it. Just do it.
Also, fucking Patchwork lighting a combustible with a candle. I dig it.
I miss those days. Look, see, that's cool to me. Like that. I know it's unhealthy as fuck and nobody should do it, but to me that is cool.
Yes.
That is like.
So are cloves, but I want to feel like a goddamn goth. And
well, cloves were my absolute favorite. I used to like DeJarums.
I know you're a fucking dude.
Speaking of DeJarums, I need to get more of those.
Yeah, there was Jorums and there was Some Irishy sounding name. What the hell were those?
I don't remember.
Alpha Draconian also just dropped a super chat. Generous people tonight.
Oh, what's up, Alpha?
Yeah,
It's been a little while. What's up, Alpha?
didn't say anything. Just left a tip. Fucking appreciate
Thank
you
you,
as
Alpha.
well.
She knows her non-duality pretty good too. That's I think it's one of the reasons why she started watching us a couple years ago. And she's like, "Oh my god, I totally agree." It's like great. Yeah.
So, Patchwork, I wanna throw this to you because this, I don't know what you called in for, and I do want to get to that, but
All right.
because this is the alien disclosure stream, do you have any experiences with aliens? Any opinions on this? And also
What's up?
because you're our resident Lovecraftian, somebody pointed out that the I'll use the term deities that Lovecraft wrote about really are aliens when you get down to definition.
Very well could be, yes. I can totally see that, actually.
The Watchers at the Veil of Reality and Azathoth. I could super chats rolling in. Goddamn, GR with another
Thank you,
super
guys.
chat. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See, it's good at the end because we already earned it a little bit, I guess. Like when people do it like right off the bat, it's like we didn't earn it yet. Like, we didn't even make one joke yet.
My existence is a joke, so that's.
Don't say that about yourself, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, no, I love jokes.
Oh. Like,
So, GR, thank you so much for the Canadian 10. That's better than an
Taoistic
American
stuff.
10, as far as I remember. So, thank you very much, GR. Appreciate that.
You know what? If Lovecraftian deities are aliens, then you probably would have many alien encounters.
oh shit! I say, not with just like Lovecraftian deities, but with like, I mean, hell, if you could even look at the Necronomicon gate walking that I did about a year ago, walking to different gates of the Zonai, working real heavily with the Sumerian and Babylonian gods. For all we know, they could be aliens as well.
I mean, they're the #1 ancient aliens recipients, right? That's everyone says Anunnaki. That's aliens. That's what they are. It's so obvious.
I've heard that a lot, actually.
You know what?
I mean, that's all you ever hear. If you look up Anunnaki, after the Sumerian link, it's ancient aliens links, like in Google. It's like you can't even learn the correct information because it's like ancient aliens takes over.
I mean,
You
hell,
know,
for
I will
for
pause
all I
it.
know. I'm sorry.
No, it's the fucking delay. It makes it weird. I'll just say I will posit this. Maybe they are aliens because only aliens could come up with a fucking base 60 number system. What the fuck?
Or
Mm?
only aliens can come up with base 10 and idiot humans came up with base 60 because it was just that confusing. We're like, well, we need another number. See?
Oh, damn, you're one layer down on the rabbit hole. Okay, fuck.
We could even go deeper. Maybe it's actually base 2, but we turned it into 10 because we said 5 and 5. See, we maybe said 1 and 1. Now it's 5 and 5.
Binary, you're getting into simulation theory there with that base too.
Yes.
Hey,
yes,
and speaking
a
of
little bit.
which, the number 10 is actually also the number of Marduk in the Necronomicon. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Interesting. Marduk being Jupiter, Bel, all that good stuff. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, I mean, this is why
Oh, my personal watch.
one of my fascinations is that yeah, could be. Well, I mean, the story sounds like Star Wars in a way. I mean, yes, it's obviously gods and stuff, but it's got a very Star
Where do you
Wars.
think you got the idea from?
Yeah, it's got a very Star Wars mythology thing going on where, and it's reminiscent of the Egyptian stuff. It's different, but you can see similarities in the way they talk about things, and it's the symbolisms. It's a wild thing. I mean, this is why that Proto-Indo-European culture that preceded all of this is important to look into. It's really important. Anybody who studies the mythology of spirits at all, sooner or later, if you're sincere about it and you're not just superstitious, you've got to look up Proto-Indo-European culture and realize that
to pi.
yes, look into pi. Put everything else down and look at pi. Because we all sit here, how many magicians go, it's really weird how all of these spirits seem so much alike. Look up pi and you'll go, oh, now I get it. There was one mother culture which maybe was the people first off the boat after the flood of Atlantis that, you know, that is the mother culture of all of this. And time and time again.
Yeah, it's kind of like closer to my theory. It's working with like different spirits from like different pantheons or from like different grimoires, that sort of thing. I always kind of looked at it more as like different aspects of the same intelligent energies. That's how I look at different spirits with different titles and that sort of thing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but I mean, all of that would have to be an illusion. At least if non-duality is the true thing. I mean, it's all illusory. You can call it whatever you want. You call it energy. You call it a soul. You call it a god, a celestial, a planet, some guy named Ralph. It doesn't matter. It's all based in an illusory paradigm. When you understand it's all illusory, you recognize that every one of those things is you in another form.
Possibly.
And they're all conscious. They're all alive. They're all aware.
Be right back.
It's just that their experience may be completely enigmatic and alien to what you have. So you want to call it energy? Call it energy. You want to call it tennis balls bouncing around? Call it tennis ball. I'm not belittling your point. It's just that there is the mask and then there is the thing wearing the mask. And we always start with the mask and say, what is the mask? What is that mask? What is the mask made of? Oh, it's energy. Ah, it's all energy. What's wearing the mask, though? What's behind the mask? What's animating the mask? What's causing the mask to move? What's inspiring the mask to look like that?
What's wearing the mask?
So if it is energy, what is it that experiences that energy, and what is it that energy is doing? It's kind of like this, you know. I put out that quick video the other day saying awareness is not an experience you're having up here. Up here is an experience you're having inside of awareness. The implication being all experiences are contained in awareness, not the other way around. If that is true, that means energy is a thing contained in experience. That means that gods are a thing contained in experience, and all experience is contained in awareness. So the awareness is the God. The awareness is the source. The awareness is the initial source light. And the first identity is that demiurge, or that first God, if you will. And everything below that is just a smaller incarnation of consciousness in a more and more limited bag. You want to call that energy? Go ahead. You can say that the mask is made of all the energy you want, and that it's flowing away and it's flowing this way and that way. And after we admit that it's illusory, it can be anything. There is no objective difference. Like, you and I could look at the same sunrise and disagree what it looks like, but both agree it's happening. And so we both agree that there's something there. When you do a ritual and you talk to Marduk or whatever, you say it's energy. I say it's a part of my consciousness. We both agree it's there, though. And I think that's important, right? To me, that's important. Like, that's where we can, to me, that's where I want to start the conversation. Like, I don't want to end on there. I want to start there. What is the part we're agreeing about? You know, what is it? What is that? Right?
Right. And I kind of want to throw something out there. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a quote that I originally got from the video game series Assassin's Creed, because I used to really be into that as a teenager. See, and for the longest time, I didn't actually know this or have any idea what that quote actually meant, but ever since I started really delving into this sort of stuff, like high magic and everything else, I'm starting to get a pretty good idea.
It's interesting how much media borrows from magical thought.
Oh, yeah. And again, where do you think they got it from?
Well, you can look it up. It actually comes from, I forget where, but it's actually an older thing from somewhere, if I remember correctly. But because the cool thing about Assassin's Creed was they had a team of anthropologists looking stuff up and coming up with ways to put cool puzzles in that were correct historically enough that it's not quite a history lesson, but you can definitely, you definitely see it's accurate enough.
Games than I did my actual history class.
Yeah, exactly. And so the statement, nothing is true, everything is permitted, kind of has room for any meaning you want to give to it. The one interpretation of it is there is no ultimate truth, there is no objective truth, so therefore do as thou wilt. There is no ultimate truth, so therefore do as thou wilt, is kind of what it's saying. Everything is permitted. So in the absence of true morality or true reality, there's no limitation, which means anything is permitted. That's one way of seeing it. Another one would be, if you're saying nothing is true, everything is permitted, that is like saying a lower spectrum of that is there's no morality, so any immorality is permitted. You can be an assassin and it's fine. But I like to see it as it's all an illusion, it's all a dream, and so you can make it do anything you want. I don't think that's how they meant it, though. I'm pretty sure they didn't mean it that way. I think that they meant it closer to the. I think they meant it closer to the morality version. Closer to. I could be wrong.
Maybe I've just been hanging around you for too long, but my perception was that was exactly how they meant it.
I mean, I wasn't there when they did it. I will say it doesn't show up in the story as a tale of non-duality, though, because it is nowhere in the story does non-duality show up as even remotely part of the plot. It's more ancient aliens, and the origin of humanity is a zoo, and we were slaves to these beings and whatever else.
Yeah,
so
kind of like in the ancient Sumerian story.
Yes.
One of them, because there are many different stories that came out of that particular pantheon and out of that particular culture. I do know, like, one of the creation stories is that the idea of mankind, we were originally created as slaves, basically, to mine gold for the gods, essentially.
Which is silly, but metaphorically, there's value there. I have often said, remember what I said earlier in the stream about life is a universal constant. It is everywhere. It's one of the fundamental building blocks of reality. It's consciousness. Consciousness is in everything, and life is an expression of. In other words, biological life is an expression or a result or a mimic or a reflection of that consciousness. Now, the argument that I go with when I ask spirits to tell me deep history and to answer questions about Atlantis and humanity before the flood, was there a flood, what happened? Some of it is colored by the mythology of the spirit that I talk to. When I talked to Azazel and got the questions answered, they were put in a very Enochian, Watcher, Sumerian perspective. And it was essentially said that, and here we have a lack of language, so I have to kind of make shit up or just associate things, that humanity was inspired to appear, as we understand it, through a process of selective breeding that wasn't done by aliens telling people to fuck or something. It was consciousness inspired the animalistic beings to breed a certain way, to develop brain bodies, brain patterns that were conducive to being avatars for self-aware consciousness in a way that could bring the as above and so below together and create more and more divine avatars for their consciousness. So think of it this way: an animal, as you understand it, absolutely has a spark of life and consciousness within it. But it's very, very limited. It's limited to a very primitive, we think, concept of self and other and technology and reason, and it's just kind of an eating, shitting, and fucking machine that has some emotions and some relationships. And I'm not demeaning it in any way. It's just it's like an earlier version of Windows. It just can't hold as much. Humanity develops with much more capacity for an inner voice and reason and thought and more capability, and so it's a better avatar for a higher consciousness. I don't think humanity is an engine of consciousness. I think humanity is a receiver and transmitter of it. I think it's an antenna, and I think that we were bred that way. So the story was that,
right,
a vessel, but we don't contain it. We're a tuning fork. We're a biological tuning fork that consciousness vibrates with, and we respond to it like an RC car. So we're not a vessel. A vessel implies that we're putting ourselves into it. The only thing we're doing is attenuating our attention into it. Completely different idea. So when Azazel was telling me this stuff, he was telling me it in a mythological way. The gods inspired humanity to breed, to create the perfect godlike avatars for their consciousness, creating the Nephilim, which were the first godlike beings that from them we get ideas like Caesars and pharaohs and other god kings like Gilgamesh.
Or me.
We get these.
I am a god.
Or me. So, but then somewhere along the way, so those beings were more possessed of godlike consciousness. That doesn't mean that they could snap their fingers and make mountains walk around. It doesn't mean that they had superpowers and can fly, although maybe they could. What it means is that their sense of awareness of what they were was expanded compared to the average person today. They knew fundamentally that their body was just an RC car that their consciousness was activated through, and that they were also all of these other people. And so they developed civilization as a result. They said, hey, I want all of my bodies to be good and well. So the first cities and cultures and everything start to emerge. They become the stewards and the shepherds for the less developed iterations of themselves. Something happens. And the something, I don't know what it is. No one will tell me, except there's a war, there's a conflict, there's a crisis, sin, blah, blah, all these weird terms that they say are, again, are metaphors for something. Something happens, and the kibosh is put on that. Someone says, too much too soon, or you're not allowed to do that, or we need to stop doing this, or for whatever reason, it's thwarted, it's stopped. Maybe it wasn't stopped by an outside influence. Maybe it was just nature happened. Maybe an asteroid hit the Earth around the year 12,000 BC, caused a huge tidal wave to sweep across Africa, wipe out Atlantis and all the other, prehistorical cities that were around the world. All the different colonies of Atlantis were wiped out by this tidal wave, leading to the flood myth that permeated through all the Semitic and Sumerian cultures ever since. That's what I was shown. Tower of Babel was an attempt to recapture that consciousness by building a symbolic tower that reached in. It wasn't necessarily that it was high, but it was symbolically reaching into the astral. And the idea was that there was also one coming down from above. So the Tower of Babel wasn't just going to go up to heaven. The idea was in heaven, one was being built down to us too. And that when they both occupied the same space in space-time, a rift would open and the two worlds would become one and the gods could walk the earth fully. The kibosh was put on that as well. Is that just mythology? I think so, but it's a meaningful one. I think that somewhere in the allegory is truth. I think it's an allegory. I don't think it's literal. I don't think that there was literally, maybe there was a tower, maybe there was a literal tower, but I don't think it was, if it got high enough, it would reach some theoretical point where, I think it was allegorically getting high enough, where something was happening. some kind of alignment was happening. Maybe it's a metaphor for an individual. Maybe the Tower of Babel was a person. Maybe there was a person that was achieving godlike nature and they had to be dashed to pieces so that they couldn't do it. I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. These things were shown to me by Azazel. Don't take them literally, but treat the allegories as valuable. And after seeing that, after being told that, after even being told something very similar by Ronzale when I called him Rance and saw him more as a fallen watcher, very similar story, though a lot simpler, I came to learn later that all of those things match things from a lot of, like, you know, Ancient Aliens conspiracy theories and several other things. To the point where I go, okay, again, I'm not supposed to see this as a one-for-one, like, it's not like I'm being shown a video of history. I'm being shown an allegory of history that is accurate. It'd be like saying Star Wars is the allegory of the rise of Hitler and the Third Reich, right? Like, the events are very related. They're very similar. There is a very similar tone. So allegorically, it's accurate.
It's revelations to the downfall of the Roman Empire.
Yes, exactly. Or revelations to today. Allegorically accurate, literally wrong. Like, I think Revolutions is an allegory for every apocalyptic period in any culture, civilization, or period. Anytime a civilization collapses, most of what is in Revelation, some form of it allegorically happens. Sooner or later. You know what I mean? So
I had two questions for Patchwork specifically.
All right, lay them on me.
Okay, let me go up. I didn't save this one. Who was it that asked? Somebody asked, "Hey, Patchwork, can I bum a cig off you?" And that was Rost.
I mean, dude, if I had a way to, like,
push it into the camera
where you're at, man,
yeah, just
more than happy to give you a smoke.
Blow smoke at the camera like I do. The other more the practical magic question comes from Wyatt Coverdale. I have a question for Patchwork. Since you seem to be skilled in skilled in necronomiconic magic? What is the best way to pronounce that? What is the best method, in your opinion, to summon and travel through Yog-Sothoth?
Oh shit, that's a method. It's like the best method to travel through Yog-Sothoth. Alrighty. It's like what I would suggest doing. Fuck, what would I suggest doing?
I say the best method is whatever the method that you have available to you is. You should experiment with all of them.
Of course, but for me personally, like, traveling to, like, different planes like that, or just fucking...
He did clarify just now. He said, just in general, how do you go about doing it?
What, just like astral projecting, or like that sort of thing? Me personally, I basically can't just get myself into a nice, comfortable state, and I pretty much think about where it is that I want to go, where I want to project myself to, and I'm able to just kind of just end up there like that. I mean, it may take some time to practice, like, kind of like, it's like getting yourself into that relaxed state. I would also suggest, it's like, if you're trying to go to some place specific, it's like specifically try meditating on it for a good while. I don't know if any of this is making sense or not. What do you guys think?
I did a Demon in Review on Yog-Sothoth, and Yog-Sothoth is the gate. Now, when we say he's the gate, what does that mean? Does that mean it's literally a gate you walk with your body? That it's that you transfer your presence? No.
It means that one of his legs
gate-
is shorter than the other. He walks all funny.
So
All right.
Yog-Sothoth is a mythology created in the Lovecraftian fiction, which means it's open to whatever interpretation you want to put on it. However, it at its core is archetypal nature. And the archetypal nature of Yog-Sothoth is a being that is everywhere and sees everything. It is the all-knowing part of Azathoth. So Azathoth is the blind idiot god that's sleeping and dreaming, and his dream is this reality. In other words, the universe really is Azathoth. It's really what it is. Yog-Sothoth would be the myriad eyes, and I would say this: Yog-Sothoth really is the identified awareness. All the different individual us's are the doorways and gateways that he is. So, Flesh Priest and Patchwork, you are each one of the eyes of Yog-Sothoth. Each one of you.
I mean, hell, and I can also argue to say that, Yog-Sothoth is pretty much everywhere. All you have to do is call upon him.
He's everywhere and every. So Yog-Sothoth is like I said, it is all not. He's not all awareness. Awareness is something that holds Yog-Sothoth. Awareness would be even holding Azathoth. Awareness is that which is experiencing the dream, but it is not of that. It is more simple than that. So Azathoth would almost be like the demiurge, and the eyes of all things. So all awareness, all experiential awareness would be Yog-Sothoth. So it is literally, when we say he is the gate, if you want to know something, you go through him. What does that mean? You are traveling the conduit of his consciousness, of his identity awareness, to go to any other identity you wish and see through their eye. It is like the ultimate divination tool. But it's maddening. It is not something you can go through with any kind of rational reason. You can't go there and be like, show me what Patchwork's thinking right now. Because there's an infinite number of Patchworks, or very nearly so.
The Patchwork in this dimension here, my thoughts, trying to see what goes on in the back of my head on a regular basis, might drive some people mad.
Well, it's worse than that, because there's not just the Patchwork on this stream, there's a Patchwork on the infinite number of streams in the infinite number of other possible mutations of reality. So when you ask Yog-Sothoth, I want to see Flesh Priest, or Patchwork, or D.H. Thorne, I want to see what they're thinking, you immediately imagine what it's like to be one of us. And in so doing, you will imagine something. And your limited awareness of reality is going to say, well, it's not real because I don't see what D.H. Thorne sees. Incorrect. There's an infinite number of D.H. Thornes, and each one of them sees a completely weird random universe compared to the one before it, to the point where if you imagine me looking out and seeing Smurfs running around my house, there's probably a universe where something like that is happening. So Yog-Sothoth doesn't take you. You can't say, I want to see Patchwork in Dimension 0 or something, because that's not a thing. He's going to show you one of the many Patchworks, one of the many D.H. Thornes. And he may show you a lot of them and blow your mind up. And if you look at my Demon in Review based on him, and the video that preceded it, where I'm fucked up, you can tell it's like I had a stroke almost. Like I'm completely fucked. That's all I can say. I actually normalize toward, like I get kind of like I snap out of it a little bit, and I kind of, but I did not feel, and I actually, while working with Yog-Sothoth, I went through what I call a paradigm gate. I was seeking another like mandala effect change in my awareness, and it felt like I was like in the Doctor Strange movie when the sorceress slaps him out of his soul, slapped his soul of his body. I felt like I went out of this reality and came into a new one, and it took me a minute to feel it right. Like something doesn't feel right. I feel like left is reversed with right. It doesn't make sense. Something's wrong. I felt groggy and weird for like a week after that. And Yog-Sothoth, if you want to reach him, It's as easy as reaching any other spirit. It's a combination of role play, but also identifying properly what the archetype is. Once you understand the archetype, you just role play it.
I said earlier with Yazek thought pretty much being everywhere. All you have to do is solve them.
All you have to do is call, and it is really that simple. It doesn't mean you're going to get the answer.
That's with any spirit.
Yeah, with any spirit, and there's an interplay there where they may not want to, or you may not want to. You may be asking, but you don't really mean it, or something. And you may get a walk-in if you're too stupid to know the difference, or something like that. It's never, it's never that simple. It takes experience, confidence, and a not give a shit attitude. If you get the wrong thing, you're going to make it the right thing anyway. It sounds arrogant, but it's true. Like a lot of theistic demonologists are like, beware the walk-in. I'm like, if I get a walk-in, I'm going to make that fucker do what I want. He's going to dance. I'm not afraid of no walk-in.
Yeah. Which I have done before.
I mean, that's partially a joke because you will feel fear if it's a strong enough walk-in. You will feel, uh-oh. But ultimately you go, get out, and it goes. It's not even you need to do the right ritual. The right ritual is the excuse for the energy that says get out. You don't need the ritual, you just need the energy that says get out.
No, like for me specifically, like dealing with the walk-in, it's like, okay, move the table, do something cool, entertain me while you were here. Do not waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. Would you waste the time of a slayer such as I?
Oh, right back to Conan. Conan.
Always.
I can never fucking remember.
Oh my goodness! I swear. I'm just gonna. When we move in together someday in 80 years, I'm just gonna have on 100 different TV screens the movie playing, and every time his name Conan is said, I'm gonna just have a recording of me pop out, Conan, and just like let the movie play. Say it.
Conan, Can, Ajna.
Think of Cowman, Conan.
Ajna says, y'all remind me of this quote. I am part of the power which eternally wills evil and eternally works good. Mephistopheles, Faust.
And on that Lovecraft note, one of my favorite lines that Lovecraft ever uttered or wrote down was, I don't remember the whole thing, but the implication was, that the audient void line. Could someone please look it up for me, Fleshy, or I'll look it up. Look up. I tell the audient void. He had no idea what he was really saying there, but it was a non-dual beauty. It was beautiful, non-dual truth. The audient void is what you really are. That is what you really are. You are the real you, the one behind all the masks and the games and the glamour and the illusion. Is the audient void. That's what you are. That is why Nyarlathotep is the soul of the outer gods. That's why he is the Atman. He is the ultimate Atman. He is the Jesus, the Antichrist, the Satan. He's the alien Satan and the alien Jesus. He is the embodiment. He is the embodiment of the audient void.
I found one, but I don't think it's correct. Give me a minute. I found a bit that opens up Nyarlathotep. Okay, I have an excuse this time because it's fucking Lovecraft, guys.
It's meant to be said by things with tentacles and suckers, not mouths and lips.
I don't think this is it, so it's the only time this phrase comes up in the work. So stop me if this isn't it. Nyarlathotep by H.P. Lovecraft. Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. I am the last. I will tell the audient void. I do not recall distinctly when it began, but it was months ago. The general tension was horrible.
That's it. Just that first part. Just that. I will tell the audient void.
Ah, okay.
That is the cry of your identity, lamenting that it is alone. And recognizing it's not real, and it's trying to validate itself by going, I alone will scream into the audient void, not realizing it is the audient void that's hearing it. I see it. I'm sure Lovecraft was like, no, that's not what it meant. It was just meant to be a spooky image of empty space. Yeah. But
You don't understand. I meant it as racism towards my cat.
I think he has a whinier voice than that, but well played, Fleshy. Well played.
Imagine the gamer moments that dude would have nowadays.
I'm not even sure he'd show up. He was quite the xenophobic and agoraphobic person.
Sorry to bring us on that space.
Well, I mean, I did just tackle sexuality in my last video. Maybe I'll talk about racism in the spiritual world next. That's a joke. I'm not going to do it. I like having a channel that gets views.
I haven't watched that yet, but yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, you brought up some carnal sins, so I definitely am curious about that.
Who, me or Thorne? I don't remember bringing up carnal sin.
No, it was me in my last video about spirits and biological sexuality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Fleshy will mostly approve. He'll probably be like, "Well, you got some of the language wrong because you're a boomer," even though I'm not. But he'll probably approve of the general take of it. I don't think he'll have a problem with it.
Did you finally teach us how to summon a succubus?
No, that's easy. Just start. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell you that. No, actually, the best source of those is...
Just imagine...
The best source of those I found so far was Osmodee. Go to Osmodee and be like, hey, he's basically like a pimp if you go to him, right? And be like, hey, he'll be like, all right, do this for me, and I'll give you one or two. Here they go. And...
Now, how I would go about it, if I wanted to conjure up a succubus, basically what I would do is, like, imagine it's like this most beautiful woman ever, and then start yanking on it until it feels as if there is another person in the room with me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about a succubus is that so they feed on not your boner and your cum and all that shit. They feed off of the energy of the action.
Yeah.
So, it's reasonable to say that succubi are always around, especially when you are, especially when the act of sexual tension is broken without purpose. You know, when it's literally just for pleasure, and especially when it's solo or something. But you could also,
in front of your computer screen and you're fucking going at it.
You're into this conversation too much, there, Patchy. Please calm down.
I'm listening.
But in all sincerity, no, you're right. And so, to my understanding, and it is just mine, of course, everyone's going to have a slightly different perspective. But to my understanding, a succubus you can enter into relation with, and create pacts with, or with their master, because I often see succubi as being a familiar spirit. They're a type of familiar spirit. They are not themselves demonic or powerful in of themselves. They're familiar spirits, and familiar spirits are usually liaisons. So a familiar spirit is almost always a liaison between you and a higher being, but we won't go there too far. So the succubus, in this case, if I got them from Osmodee, their role would be to inspire me to better fulfillment, we'll say, or to potentially be invoked or inspire better action in the real thing. So, like, inspire my significant other tonight to act this way, to put on this show, to really make it fun, and inspire. To what'd you say, Patchy?
It's like to inspire them to let me do this, and this, and have them wear this. Giggity, giggity, goo.
Kinda, yeah. Not just, but don't want. It's not meant to be a one-sided thing, because in principle, the succubus will then.
Issue again.
Oh shit!
Oh, I hear you guys perfectly. You guys are perfect.
It's happening so much tonight.
I hear you guys just perfect. You guys are perfect for me.
Okay, well we can hear you now again.
Yeah, I can hear you on my end as well.
So at some point you want to invoke that succubus into yourself or your lover or all of them or both of you to receive their portion, their fair share of the energy that they're generating. That way they're more inclined to do a good job, because the more they inspire you to have fun, the more fun you're going to have and the more energy there is for them to feed on. And
inspire possess me to have crazy sex I wouldn't normally have.
Yes. So I find that, you know, if I might even offer it as a service at some point, the attachment of a succubus to a relationship. The only problem is succubus don't like, I shouldn't say don't like, succubus can be vampires. That is to say,
Oh yeah.
left to their own, they're a dangerous entity if not properly managed or properly dealt with, because they can make you addicted to sex. They can make you sexually weak. They can, you know, you can become addicted to masturbation rather than the real thing, or addicted to the real thing to the point of getting STDs or crazy shit. It can turn into a mess. So the trick is so in other words, a succubus is a manifestation often of the shadow too. And it's a way to integrate a shadow. And if you don't do it right, it can become a deeper shadow. If you do it right, it becomes a pleasure and a release and a form of liberation. You know, if you want to liberate your sexuality, a succubus is a great way to go. But if you want to get another monkey for your back, conjure a succubus just with the intention of having a better time. Like if you go into getting a succubus into your life just to make the sex better, just to make it more pleasurable, and there's not much else to it, if it's just basically like trying to get money or something, if it's just a material desire, and you're not looking on the deeper side of that relationship, then it's going to take advantage of you, in my opinion. It's going to be messy. I've known people, third party, like I've heard stories, although I haven't known them directly, who've had problems with succubuses entering a relationship. And at first it's all great, but then after a while it's like, why is my girlfriend fucking all my friends and blah, 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 blah. Well, the succubus told me to do it, you know, crazy shit like that. And yeah, a lot of it's probably just bullshit, but it still happened and it's still relevant. And so you need to take the bull by the horns and be mature. If it's just a material desire for better sex, you're going to probably have a bad time after having a really good time.
So
you'll have a really good time and then a really bad time.
So here's a question. Are you guys familiar, and I don't know if this would be the right term, but are you familiar with the concept of the monkey's paw?
Yes, yeah.
Heard of that term before, but
Yeah,
I'm not too terribly familiar with it, but I have heard of it before, yes.
yeah, from my understanding, it's basically, you know, when you make it's be careful what you wish for, made manifest, of it will find a way to twist whatever you wish for maliciously. And I don't I don't mean this in a malicious sense, but what you're saying with succubus either being a great liberation or a shadow manifest to hurt you, really. Do you think that magic as a whole can be like monkey's fist in that way? Not that it's maliciously trying to punish you to send a message or anything, but just your intentions made manifest.
Well, if a monkey's paw, I think monkey's paw is a curse, like it's a joke. But if you mean,
yeah,
with all sincerity, any magical manifestation can go either way. You know, if you do a ritual for $1 million, you're like, woohoo, I got $1 million, and now suddenly you die or something. You know, I mean, it can always be that way. But I don't think a monkey's paw is a given. I think it's always a possibility, but not as a monkey's paw. I think irony is part of the shadow. It's part of our experience. Is that because if our intentions are base, then our outcome is going to be base, and base is often where the shadow lurks. You know, it's because base is often a result of a shadow. In other words, you know, being addicted to sex is a shadow, and it's a base. It's being addicted to you are at the mercy of your base desires instead of your base desires being a pleasure. They are and a thing to look forward to. They are a thing that controls you. That makes them a shadow. So monkey's paw usually are a result of a shadow that is not being integrated. If you do a ritual for something and you get that something and that something turns into a curse worse than anything if you didn't have it, that's probably because a shadow was involved somewhere. The shadow is you. So you did it. You're always the author of your own monkey's paw. It's not the universe or the gods. It's you. I want to answer one question. Jay Sauber asked, can we hire you to send an incubus to a straight guy as a hex? My answer to that is you can send an incubus to anybody. Generally what an incubus will do is you can send either one to anybody. If you send a succubus to a man, it's not going to make them suddenly turn into a woman, and it's not going to make women suddenly love them or hate them or anything. It has nothing to do with heterosexual or homosexuality. I could, for example, call upon an incubus to make me a better lover, just as I might call upon a succubus to make me a better lover. It's just, instead of the feminine version of sexuality, it's going to be the masculine. And again, watch my last video about biological sex versus the spiritual stuff, because they're not exactly the same thing. When I say sexuality and a gender in a spiritual term, so if I say it's a female sex demon, so sexuality is involved, but the feminine aspect is not the pussy gender. It is the gender, spiritual gender. It is the divine feminine gender. So a succubus is a sex being that is aligned with the divine feminine, which means receptiveness. It means fertility of the womb. It means nurturing. It means it means inspiring in the desiring kind of way, whereas the masculine is like, I'm gonna fuck you, the feminine is like, please fuck me. That's kind of the difference. And so the succubus is going to be the please fuck me energy, whereas the incubus is going to be the I'm gonna fuck him energy. And both are wonderful and powerful things. So if I were to send an incubus to somebody, it wouldn't suddenly make that straight person have a bunch of gay sex or be cursed by gay lovers, although that is amusing to think about. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. It's just that's not what I would anticipate. What I would anticipate is that if I sent it to them as a curse, the incubus might go and make them addicted to being an aggressive sex partner and whatever that would result in. I wouldn't expect it to suddenly make them gay or anything like that. Yeah.
I also want to point out, a succubus is basically just a bottom. A incubus is basically just a top. You can be perfectly hetero and enjoy being on
that's
bottom.
not fair because that's not fair. That's not accurate at all. You can actually have very dominant feminine energy too. The idea that masculine is dominant and feminine is submissive is only partially true. They're switch. they're not one or the other. They're switch. So definitely the divine feminine can be dominant as well. You can be a very strong pull force that overpowers something resisting it. That's dominant. You can be a very strong female dom, which is screaming "fuck me," and you have no choice, or I'm going to kick your balls in. That's a strong feminine dom, right? So that's kind of how I see it. So I don't see it as the dom and sub of spirituality. In fact, I would argue that many of the pop culture iterations of a succubus is a chick with a whip, right? Why is that? So I don't think that it's that way. But I do see it as the divine feminine or the divine masculine in a sexual capacity, and it's rubbing up against. So partially what makes an incubus and a succubus different from a god of fertility or sexuality is that the incubus and succubus are also rubbing up against the shadow. So I would say, Sauber, that if I were to send that incubus to a straight man, if they have latent homosexuality in them and they're denying it, that shadow may eat them somehow. Does that mean that they're now suddenly going to have a bunch of gay sex and be miserable about it? No. But it does mean that maybe they'll get caught with homoerotica or something, or maybe they will find themselves really conflicted or something. I don't know. Again, I personally don't know if I would mess up. I mean, I would go for it if I were you. See what happens, by all means. Definitely a possibility. But you know me, I like my magic to be more about personal transmutation and theurgy rather than curses and material desires. I'll do them, but that's not what gets me going. I'm interested in personal transmutation and theurgy. That's really what I'm into. So if I was going to work with a succubus or an incubus, it's because you said you wanted one for you, because you wanted to expand your sexuality, or you wanted you and your partner to expand your sexuality. That I would be very inclined with the right person to do, for sure.
Sorry about that. I had to get my charger.
You
my
suck.
phone was dying.
No, you're fine, dude.
Wait, what were you guys saying about me while I was gone?
That your beard is looking very divided today. Very nice.
Oh, is it? Can't fucking tell.
Actually, yeah. It kind of reminded me of a spider's mouth. Like if you look at a spider's fangs.
Ooh.
Like, tell me that wouldn't be a badass beard style. Like just like two little points coming down.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that's pretty good. You gotta get the wax and twist them into points on the very edges.
Oh, of course.
Just be careful it doesn't look like a nutsack.
It's like when I grow this out more, fucking braid it up and shit.
Go full Viking.
Oh, of course. Grow out a full beard around it as well.
So, Wyatt Coverdale asks, I'm not much in my league to ask these questions now, but in the case of something going wrong, is there a way of devoking or banishing an incubi or syncubi? Would I do so just like any other being? And I guess I'll throw my thing out there and then correct me if I'm wrong. I would just say, just like you would devoke anything else, just put it out of mind, do the lesser banishing ritual if that's what you're so inclined to do, whatever normally works. It only really gives you power if you allow it to have power over you.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is the shadow part. You know, you can't banish a shadow. All you can do is hide it, and it's still there. It's like sweeping. You're sweeping it under the rug. So when you think the entity is the problem, if you summon a spirit and you think the entity is the problem, in my opinion, it probably isn't the entity. It's probably you. And the shadow is active. You might even be talking to your shadow and think it's a spirit, another spirit. That's what happened to me a lot. I would talk to shadow people, parts of my own shadow, externalize them, see them as something that wasn't me, talk to them, see them as gods, angels, demons, monsters, whatever, be drawn into these complexities and duplicities and problems and dramas and monkey's paws, and blame the spirit for it, and then try to banish it and be like, oh, it's not leaving, and have all these problems. And then I find out they're shadows later, so of course I can't banish them. They're coming out of me, and they're taking the form of whatever the fuck it's necessary to fuck with me. So again, which is it? You know, is it really the spirit? I've never run in. I don't like to say that all spirits are benevolent, but I've never run into a spirit that I would call malevolent either. I've never run into a spirit that was evil for evil's sake and just wanted to hurt it. I've run into spirits that were angry and rageful, and that were very dangerous, but they weren't evil. They were just a force of anger, and to deal with them, you had to placate them or something. You had to satisfy something, and they would stop. It's an imbalance of energy going on. So there even if I were to say that there are spirits that mean harm to humanity, even they are not capable of doing anything to us we don't permit. So even if I admit that there are spirits that mean us harm, that doesn't mean they're malevolent. It may just be their function is to challenge us and be adversarial to our very nature. You know, one could argue, like people say, oh, Satan's this good guy to them. You know, like a lot of Satanists see Satan as a good guy. And to them he is, and to me he could be. But there very much would be an adversarial spirit that's like Satan that hates us too. That would, to say there isn't is just superstitious nonsense. To say that there isn't a spirit that means us harm is silly. It's just, what is the purpose of that harm? Is the purpose of that harm to destroy us, or are they playing a role in the higher dimension? It looks to us like it's trying to destroy us, but it also knows that in so doing it's making us stronger. Maybe that's its role. Maybe its role is the adversarial nature of Satan is so we really integrate our shadow, not so that we stop being sinful. It's so that we just see sin as not a sin and integrate it instead. Maybe that's what it is. So I mean, there's a lot to unpack, and I'm not going to do that for you right now. But don't look at the spirit as something you have to do an exorcism on. I see you saying the word exorcism. Exorcism is nonsense. In every exorcism I've ever partaken in, and it's been 2 so far in my life, in every single case, the exorcism took the form not of forcing the demon out, but in reconciling the imbalance in the person that caused them to pull that demon entity into them in the first place. Demons cannot enter us without our permission. If you want to argue that they could trick us into allowing it, I guess that's a possibility. But in every single case, what's really happening is the person has a deep fundamental flaw in their shadow. They can't deal with the problem. They pull in the demon as a band-aid fix or a toxic solution, whatever you want to call it. The only way to get rid of it is for that individual to believe that they have the power to change and get rid of it. In traditional Christian exorcism, it's very much a part of it is to give the person sacrament and to treat the person as holy and forgiven of their sins, and that God will help them save themselves. They just have to worship God again and all this good shit. It's literally a redemption arc for that person, because psychologically, subconsciously, what's going on is the person has something they're ashamed of or that hurts them or whatever. Maybe they're addicted to something. Maybe they've been raped. Maybe they're a rapist. Something that they hate about themselves or the world or whatever. And this demon is the demon is a conduit for that to be dealt with. And demons will, the psychology of demons is they will happily play along with that. They will give you the mask to wear to be the bad guy so that you don't take the personal blame. So someone who's suffering from addiction may talk about the demon that's possessing them and get fully possessed, and maybe their addiction's a complete secret. And they're suffering inside, and so they act out. And just like any role play can turn real, that role play of being a bad boy or bad girl or whatever begins to manifest as a demonic possession and becomes a real possession. But they can be cured of that not by kicking the demon out. The demon's there just fulfilling its role as a conduit for that torment to go through. So it will happily act like a demon would act. It will happily be self-destructive and say weird shit and say things about you that only you know, and all kinds of crazy shit could happen. But to cure them of that problem, you don't kick the demon out. That still leaves the problem. You have to go to the root of their personal imbalance. Their shadow has to be integrated for that demon to properly be dealt with. And the only way to do that is for them to admit it. And if you look up the research on exorcism, that's a lot of the times what happens. We will find out that the little girl was raped by her father. That's why Satan's taking her body. And the only way to make her not be possessed anymore is to heal that wound of that rape. It comes out like that way more often than anyone should ever have to admit, but it is. So that's my take on it. Does that mean that that's the only truth? I don't know, but that's my take on it, and that's the one that I bank on. And I've never failed with that perspective. So try it. Instead of thinking that you have to exorcise a demon with these rituals that make them go away because you're scared of them, ask why you're scared of it. What is it trying to teach you by possessing you and causing these problems? And try to fix those things. And spirits that I have evicted from my life have returned as allies. Spirits that were enemies have become allies in the process. Ironically. I have a feeling someday Yahweh will be one that does that too for me. The spirit that I look at and go, I'm not working with Yahweh ever again. I hate the Christian church and all this. In 20 years, I might be sitting there going, let's call on Yahweh, get the dice. You know.
It's like, this motherfucker. Oh, God. It's like reconciling with your father who you cut ties with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although I think even that's easier.
I was going to say, please tell me I'm not projecting right there.
I mean, it kind of felt like it, but I wasn't going to say anything.
We could all feel it.
Okay, so I'm going to let you guys have the floor for a minute because my voice box is shot, and then we're going to go so we can do a buy our crap segment soon. But So, Patchy, do you have any alien stories, since that's why you're here? Do you have any good alien story for us?
Yeah, we never actually asked you why you're here.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I originally came on here to like talk about aliens and shit, but we kind of just went.
Just talked about this bullshit magic stuff, huh?
Someone insert the scene from Breakfast Club where Ali Sheedy is asked why she's there in detention, and she's like, "I had nothing better to do." That's Patchwork right now. He's the cool Ali Sheedy character. I don't know. I just had nothing better to do.
Now, I have been dreaming about aliens quite a bit lately. Now, I don't know if that's literal or if that could be metaphorical for something. Who knows?
I love
And that was it. There was also that one time I got abducted when I was 18, but I feel like I've actually shared that experience on a previous stream with you guys. I mean, I can retell it again if you want.
I feel like you have. I do recall you telling it, but yeah, give us the spark notes since it has been a while.
Alright, so basically what had happened was it was about a couple of days after I had graduated from high school and I was still living with my mom at the time. I went outside at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and kind of went out into a field a little bit that was right next to our house because you have to think my mother's place is just kind of in the middle of butt nowhere. Out just out in the middle of the woods and shit. Right, so I go out into this field here and light me up a cigarette, because I was having trouble sleeping that night. And as I'm sitting here just kind of just take. Hold on, I'm about to light me an actual cigarette so I can take long drags off of this one.
I love the forest in the middle of nowhere because it is it's kind of the equalizer of energy in a way, I feel, where just anything can happen.
I mean, there were a couple, there is a road and a couple of houses nearby. It was a very small neighborhood, but shit was just surrounded by fucking trees and forests. Like I said,
and Forestus.
It's going with me on this, all right?
But I like that. It's just it's like that lowbrow honesty that when what somebody said before, like I don't even remember, but
we didn't
sometimes words just sound better.
We have foresters.
Yeah, it's a huge Forestus, okay?
Yeah, I think
it's like Alivant. It's like when you say Alivant.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like when you say Alivant or something. It's like that.
All right,
in the Forestus.
So I was sitting out there, minding my own fucking business, just taking a long draw of my cigarette,
Yeah.
And I happened to fucking look up because something kind of caught my eye. It was a fucking kept seeing this weird light, and at first I thought, okay, maybe this is a fucking just an airplane or some shit going by at 4 in the morning, because you sometimes have that, or possibly a shooting star, who knows what. But as I keep looking up at it, I'm like, okay, this is getting closer. Oh god, this is kind of bright now. What the fuck? And so next thing you know, it felt as if I was being dematerialized for a split second and being brought up into this fucking white. It's having this giant bright white light in front of my face, right? And I still have trouble trying to recall all that it was that I seen on that ship, right? I swear the ship was kind of a God damn it, I lost my train of thought. Anyways.
You're good. I like to look at magic, at aliens through that kind of Jungian archetype of just the outsider. What does it mean? Fucking, I'm losing my train of thought too. I think I need some sleep too. We better wrap the stream up soon. But
Well, we are after the third hour, which is usually when people start exposing their nipples and doing.
Yeah, I've been good. I haven't done it yet on this stream.
Yeah, neither have I, man. I feel proud.
Patchwork, show us your butt and do a butt clap. Do it.
Yeah, Eddie's not here. We need somebody to bring up the butt stuff.
We know you're naked under that coat.
I mean, I'm actually fully clothed, but all right.
But under that.
Under the clothes, I have on underpants, but under the underpants, yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's anything to so
like I definitely remember having this strange feeling like I was strapped to like a rotating bed or something, and I remember feeling pressure around the top of my head, like they're either drilling it open or inserting something in it. I can't fucking remember. I don't know why I don't know why some of those details are still lost to me on this day. And that was 5 years ago. Like the last thing I remember, like, as I was feeling intense pressure on the top of my head, everything just kind of went completely white for a split moment. And I remember waking up in bed like that following morning, trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. Went outside like that following day and actually found like half of a cigarette that was smoked and kind of put itself out. It's like, oh shit. I was like, I don't know if that actually happened or if I was just sleepwalking, which in itself is kind of odd because I've never.
Where certain abduction scenarios could be reliving that, but I also became aware that apparently when you're put under for surgeries, like dental or otherwise, that the anesthesia doesn't necessarily it doesn't take the tape out of your brain. If we're saying that your brain's a camera that's pressing record, it doesn't take the tape out of your brain. It just kind of erases all the markers that point back to that time when it was recording, where you won't remember that time, but didn't stop you from perceiving them by any means.
Well, it's very true. When I had my teeth pulled a while back, and I asked the doctors, they were going to put me under general or whatever it was, and I said, will I feel anything? And he's like, you won't remember it. I'm like, yeah.
Had to be put under anything like that. And the fact that I actually found like the half-smoked cigarette that I had may possibly rule out the possibility that it was probably a vivid dream. Honestly, I don't know what to make of it. Really. I mean, it's like...
You know, some people, I remember one person saying that the machine elves of Terence McKenna might be the Greys of everybody else. You know, it might be, there could be something there where this is some kind of psychodrama that our brain concocts when our consciousness is being disconnected. It could literally be an astral experience, like that's which I know that's what Flesh Priest was alluding to much earlier, is that maybe the aliens we see as Greys and all this other cool shit are entities that live in the astral in some way, and we talk to them there. Or it could be just a meme that our brains play with that are masks for something that's there. Or there's so many layers to this. Like I'm always talking about these things, and I don't want to recite them again, but the beauty of them is they're captivating to our consciousness. They're captivating even to a skeptic. They're captivating. If an alien spaceship were to land in front of a skeptic's house, they wouldn't just be like, oh, that's, yeah, whoopee. They'd fall on their knees practically and fall in worship like anybody would. It would be even the most down to earth grounded person. Like if an alien came down, I could see me walking out there being nervous, but also confident, being like, if I die, at least I saw an alien. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's still going to be the most important moment of my life. Why? The funny thing is, I have this vision in my head of after aliens are revealed to humanity, of after we hear about it and learn all the little details about it, You know, so let's say that UFO lands in my front lawn and they get out and we talk. I have a feeling within 20 minutes or so, the mundanity of the reality of it will start to set in.
Oh, yeah.
I will start to recognize the similarity of what they are to what I expected. And also the alienness as well. But I think it will be funny to me. I think within a short amount of time, it will be just like meeting the Joneses next door. It'll be like they were always there, and it'll be weird to think of a world without them. That's part of the equation, is that if we do learn about aliens, of course the transition to them being a normal part of our lives will be incredibly painful or wild or exciting, but it won't take long for them to be just a next door neighbor in our mentality.
Yeah,
there'll be a lot of hype, of course.
Can you just imagine, like, the fucking roller coaster thrill ride of, like, oh god, aliens are real, this is so dope, and then you actually start talking with them and they're just like, so we heard that you might know the meaning of life, would you like to indulge us?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought you knew.
Hey, Cleeclop, smell my wind. And they're just as lame as we are.
Do you want to go jump our four-wheelers off the alien dirt ramps? Well, yes.
You only have 36 genders? Ha 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 ha.
Ha.
Right, here's how
You gotta get on our level, meatbag.
Here's how I see it, man. If a UFO was to land in my yard, like right now, and aliens were to come out, dude, I'd probably walk out there with a couple of bottles of whiskey and be like, all right, who's ready to get fucked up?
Knowing your luck, they'll be like me, and it's like, oh,
let's
man.
have a couple of drinks together. What?
Yeah, they'll probably be like a Spock and just be like, right.
All right, bitches, it's time for the probers to become the probees.
Well, maybe the aliens are just intergalactic DOMs, and we are heard, we're known as the subs of the galaxy,
Oh man.
Something important that I think that DH, I hate to call you out on it, but I feel too scared to bring up the possibility, is that the solution to the Fermi Paradox is that all of the aliens are hiding from us because we are Space Australia, and they're fucking terrified of us.
Oh no, I've heard that a million times. That's actually, if you look, we're going to get spiritual again. If you look at the works of C.S. Lewis, there is the idea that Earth is a quarantined planet because we're the only planet that fell, and every other planet in the universe is still living under God's grace, and Earth is the one that fell in sin, and so we are quarantined, and they're not allowed to come here because they don't want to be infected by our sin. So you're not the first person to think of that. And that's the spiritual version, but there's the non-spiritual version, which is we're living in kind of a human zoo and they don't want to come here to contaminate us, or we really are that fucked up. They're like, you guys kill each other over that? Like, we've never killed each other ever. Like, that's absurd. Like, imagine plants, right? Do plants kill each other? Like, they might outgrow each other and like take over each other, but they don't go to war. They don't attack each other. They don't, vines grow up on each other, but it would be different, right? Their idea of murder would be like
alien to us.
A Flarnobian has never killed a Flarnobian, and they'd look at us like we're insane, and they wouldn't want anything to do with us because of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's telling me that Marvin the Martian is living under God's grace, and that's why we've never met him in real life.
Yeah. Or we're the space orcs, or we're space orcs, like literally space orcs. And, when they're like, no, don't let them out of Mordor. Don't let them out.
Yeah, that's maybe it's just wishful thinking, but that's the line of logic I like going with, is that we're just space orcs and all these damn elves just can't handle the truth.
Mm-hmm. Or like in Mars Attacks, if we ever really stacked up against each other, we are these behemoths of power that, like, we're like an ape compared to us. So to them, we're like the ape, and they're just like little rag dolls in our hands, like in Mars Attacks, when watching them just bing and just like smashes their freaking helmets in. Like, it's,
That's good. It was a while since we got a lag spike.
Oh, good. Yes.
God
I'm
damn.
noticing whenever we really start talking about aliens, then it stops. Yeah.
Susan Wojcicki
Oh.
doesn't like.
Shit, guys, hit the like button more. He's talking about us. Oh, shit.
Well, what if, and this is a big if that there's a what attached to, what if they are preparing the infrastructure of the internet for the big reveal when everybody goes crazy in a month because aliens are proved to the world? Now, see, that's the thing. I think my wife's mostly going to be right. I think it's going to be proven right where what they're going to show is going to make a lot of people go like, wow, that's amazing, but it's going to amount to nothing. It's going to be a lot of sound and fury that denotes nothing we didn't already know, and it's going to not answer any questions.
Who knows?
I don't think so. No, I think everyone's gonna be like, oh, that's it. I think a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, that's it. It's just some dots on a screen. Where's my aliens? And it's gonna be I think it's gonna get overhyped, honestly. And I think it's a distraction. I think they want us distracted by alien disclosure so that we stop. Don't forget, half the country is taking measures to no longer treat the coof as anything more than a flu. So, to the point where even where I am, everything's starting to open up, and we were under lockdowns for a while almost, and it was bad for a little bit here.
Dude,
so everything's
mandated where I'm at.
Yeah, no, there's actually a few stores that they're no longer mandated, and you can go to the drugstore with that one now, which my wife told me today. I thought was amazing. You still got to go to the supermarket with them, but it's a step, and it's like, whoa, this is getting weird. Like, does this mean we'll be able to go to the movies soon? Actually, yes, the first movie's coming out soon. Oh boy. Splish Splash, my favorite water park on Long Island's opening up this summer. I can't wait. We're gonna go.
Oh man, they really must not like us talking about this shit.
Must not be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a thought and then I got all distracted by the lag. Goddamn. We need to end this stream soon.
Yeah, we do.
Because
let's end it now.
Obviously shit.
Buy my crap. Bye.
I like how you pushed your chair. Like a fucking supervillain just.
Captain Kirk?
And now
Captain Kirk.
I present to you the pool with sharks with goddamn laser beams stuck to their heads. Boop.
The only thing I want more than a throne is Captain Kirk's chair. That's the only thing I want more than a throne. I want the equivalent of that. I want to just be sitting here like number one. I really want to live that way. Not Picard's chair. It's comfortable looking, but I like Kirk's swivelly chair up on a podium, just comfortable as hell. My wife can come by in a hot mini skirt with a little notepad for me to sign every now and then. Fleshy, you could be like my Mr. Spock, but you're like, the weird emotional gay version of Mr. Spock. And Patchwork, you can be my Scotty if you want.
Hey.
It'll be fun.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll sign up for this. Yeah.
Right? It could be fun.
I'll be like your Data if it was just pure emotion and no logic behind it whatsoever.
I like that. Or the guy who played on Galaxy Quest, which is like another favorite of mine. The guy who played Snape, the guy who played the equivalent of their Vulcan, by Grapthar's hammer.
My favorite detail about Galaxy Quest was it was ranked, and I don't remember the exact number, so I'll just pull one out of my ass. The 5th greatest Star Trek movie, despite not being a Star Trek movie.
I totally see that. I mean, that's another movie that would go in my bomb shelter if I could only have like one wall rack of movies. I would make sure that movie was in there for sure.
Blade and Cloak says that you need a gaming chair, DH. They are super comfortable. A gaming chair is basically just one of those toddler seats that you keep in your car. You know what I'm talking about?
I've been in search for the proper chair for decades. Like, this isn't a gaming chair. This is just a regular office chair. But I've been in search of a chair that I could sit in like a car chair. Like to me, a bucket seat in my car. If you could just rip that out and stick it on a swivelly thing, I think I'd be in heaven.
Oh yeah, they make those.
But I don't know. Like I'm always, to me, like money's becoming no object. Like not because I don't have enough, not because I have tons of money, but because I'm desperately seeking the perfect chair that I don't get uncomfortable in after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like this chair, the arms are too high and I can't move them, so I get elbow sores. Like it's really annoying. And it's like I don't feel like buying a new chair yet because it's only a year and a half old. So it's like I don't want to change chairs yet. But I don't know. I saw a chair that looks cool. It's all over Facebook where you can adjust it to like all these different, like you can sit in it like it's a meditation chair, like put your knees on it. You can sit in it regularly. You can sit on it sideways, like it folds out so you can sit side. Cool looking chair, but it's like $3,000 or something crazy like that. I'm like, nah, never mind.
Yeah, the philosophy that I took is that for as much as I'm on my ass, if it does what it needs to, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, Blade and Cloak, I no longer need the up to 400 pounds crap. I can now get the up to 250 crap, which is more normal. So the sky is now the limit on what I can sit in. So.
God damn, I forget just how much you've slimmed down.
You know, I do too until I see a video from like 2018, and I'm like, oh, I got to reshoot all these. I look like that's not me. I don't know who that was. That's some other guy. Like I feel grossed out. Like I'm like, oh, his necks just keep going. His necks just keep going. It's weird. Like where's his body? He's like Jabba. What the fuck? No wonder people made fun of me. You know, it's like, woof.
I don't think it's like that, but I definitely think that.
God, I hope
I could not barely recognize you, but you look like a new dude.
No, don't worry, Blade and Cloak. I'm not offended. I'm just letting you know because I used to everything. You can ask my wife. Like one of the things that I'm getting used to is not having to check the chair to make sure I can sit on it before I sit on it. You know what I mean? I used to sit down in such a way that my hand would go down and I'd sit with my hand between my legs so that I could slowly increase the weight on the chair before I commit to sitting. And all this other shit I don't have to worry about. Granted, I was only 325, but still, I'd break the right chair. You know what I'm saying? Like the little wicker chairs that you get in some places, I could break those. So I always have to be careful. Now it's like, as long as I don't jump down on them, it's probably fine. So, like it's a thing. I mean, I've definitely broken furniture just by being on it before. So, and I don't want to do that ever again. But no, I'm looking forward to when I can do pull-ups and climb trees the way I used to. And I'm realizing that it's not just weight, it's also age now because I've been sitting for too much the last year. So my hips are like conditioned to be sitting. And when I walk around a lot, they can start to ache. So I got to get to walking again. But age is a factor. I don't rebound quite as much as I used to when I was in my 10s and 20s. But I don't know. I still feel younger than most people half my age. So what can I say?
Yeah, you're a young soul. I mean, you're hanging out with me.
That's right.
So obviously I relate to something, or I'm very old inside.
You could be an old soul, and I'm just a little whippersnapper.
Oh, those whippersnappers.
Yes, just oh, my sweet summer child, Thorne. Wait until your golden years.
I've always been a clown, so that helps. I've always been a clown, even when I'm serious, I'm clowning around somewhere. So.
But both because of just fucking stream issues, and I am rapidly getting to the point where I need to get to bed. We should wrap it up.
All right, Fleshies. So let me ask you the question. What do you think is going to be released next month?
Yeah.
You're on record, by the way, so if you're wrong, people will know.
No, I'm not going to be wrong because I manifest this reality, and it is going to be exactly what I say right here and right now, and you can place money on it, and I know I won't be wrong because, as I said, manifesting.
Well, I was going to say some universe it will be true. It may not be the one you're watching, though.
Yeah, so I can't be wrong, therefore. So 12 dudes are going to get hit by twisted T's in the face. But besides that, with the disclosure thing, some people are going to start connecting the dots with other things and start extrapolating data where...
I like that word, extrapolating.
It's not exactly tangible. Not that they would be wrong, but it's not exactly tangible yet. Overwhelmingly, it is going to be a momentary thrill of the perception of momentum, followed by what could be perceived as the crushing weight of the extravagant suddenly manifesting into the mundane, and it not actually being that weird. It's going to be. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's going to be a lot about nothing, and it's not going to change shit. As far as
like
what's going
it'll
to
be
come
something,
out.
but it'll be inconclusive. It'll be an inconclusive fart.
Yeah,
It'll be like, I heard it, I don't smell it.
like yeah. As far as whatever's going to be presented is not going to be significant. I don't think it might be a pathing stone on a longer trail. Maybe I will concede that. But as far as what this is going to mean in a month from now, it's not going to change anything.
Remember, it's being hyped a little bit, which means that they're in control of it. So that means that it will have a huge effect. It just may not be the one we want. It may not be aliens are revealed and we're all fucked up. It's probably just a distraction. I think that it will show enough that people who are in the know will say there's no way that that's regular human aircraft that we understand. I don't think it'll just turn out to be swamp gas. I think it's going to be that different. But I don't think it's going to, I agree. I don't think it's going to change the world, but who knows? All right, let me see something here. Hold on.
Oh, he's pulling a card. Everybody look out. Fucking, where the fuck are my cards? God damn it. You son of a bitch. I want to pull cards too. Be like one of the cool kids. I want to smoke cloves with the goths.
I need to get my cards too, but I'm lazy.
All right, let's see if I'm in tune. I'm going to pull one card, and this card is going to be related to that day that the release happens. What's the card? The Ten of Rods.
God damn.
That's weird.
Let me see it. I need the visual.
Hold, let me pull my pants down.
Fuck. Okay, I need to look that up in Rider Weight to make sure I think of the right one.
Well, look up if you're going to do it, you can look up Anna Kay. That's who these cards are made by. But I can tell you what it means already. So the Ten of Rods is you're basically trapped. And it's the symbolism is a man trapped behind by 10 rods, and he's a little scared, and he's a little frightened, and he definitely feels trapped. He definitely feels cornered. He feels like, he's trapped and cornered. The 10 of Rods. Rods is always associated with power and authority, and like the king. The king is represented by the 10 of Rods. Not that I should say that because there's a king of swords and everything, but when we think of someone who's just in authority, like an alpha leader, we think of something that's in authority, it's usually rods. Rods represent fire. So it's a bad card. It's a bad time. It's going to be something about it is going to be a bad time. That's what the cards say. Does that mean that's what's going to happen? I don't see cards as a fortune teller. So that's reading. So I think there's a lot of apprehension.
And Jeff 524 just said he pulled a 6 of cups.
Okay.
Fuck it. Let me get my
6 of
cards.
cups. Well, hold on now. We can't all do one because then they all lose meaning.
No. But through
go ahead,
reading everything, it is the reality.
True.
It is the fool's journey or something.
Yeah, and stuff.
It is all things at once.
So what's nice about the 6 of Cups is that's the puppy love. So that's like there's going to be people who are going to be just in love with it, but of course puppy love is irrational love. It's not based on anything real. So you're right. There's going to be people who are going to be like, aliens were proven real, yay, hail to Vega, and then there's going to be people who are scared of this whole fucking thing. As the 10 of Rods, absolutely. Okay, so far I think they're both pretty accurate.
I need to get back into make my Fool's Journey mixtape. That's when you know you're a little bit you have a little bit too much free time, or that you're mismanaging your free time. Maybe is more accurate. I fucking wait. Where the fuck are my cards? God damn it. Gods damn it.
Damn, got it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to end soon. I'm fucking nodding. We're gonna let Patchwork pull his card, then I'm gonna go.
I know, I'm like, come on, Patch. I only did it because I had him right there. It took me literally a minute to pull him out because, you know, I do it for a living sometimes.
You're professional or whatnot.
Someone should look up the astrological significance of that day, too.
What day is it supposed to be?
Supposed to be June 25th, but...
It says...
it could be any time. They said that it could happen as early... It could happen any time because they had 180 days to do it, but it's not a law, so they can take as long as they want, but they could also take less time. So it could be any time.
So I looked it up, and it says shit's still going to be rotating following gravity.
Oh, is it? Oh, man.
Yeah. There's your astrological
I was hoping the Earth was going to slow down.
I don't know. I'm admittedly dogmatic, and it makes it really hard to get into the astrological shit.
Yeah, Crackbite says, with regard to tarot, he says, I got really fixated on it until I realized it doesn't really tell you anything that you couldn't. But understand that the tarot is, well, the major arcana is a cycle of being, and the minor arcana are all of the different ways that that cycle can manifest into different energy fields of different kinds of things, you know, emotions, power, money, all that stuff. So they're really, it's a deck of 72 human archetypes is what it is. It's 72 archetypes, or not 72, but 70 some odd because there's different ones, 74, 76, whatever, archetypes of human consciousness and experience. So you're right. They don't tell you anything that you can't figure out. The reason you use tarot is not as a fortune-telling device. Never use tarot like that. Tarot is meant to be a doorway for you to have an epiphany. It's meant to be, why the hell did I get this card? You know what? That reminds me of this. It's meant to be like when you can't think of something and you get writing advice from like a writing prompt type of thing.
Yeah.
But it works with your subconscious on your intuitive level.
Sorry
So
about that.
even if the reading is inaccurate, it gets your brain working in directions you didn't think of. It's not a fortune-telling device.
Yeah,
it's a mind expansion
reading
device.
It's not so much the product, but the process, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I shuffle these fuckers up right quick. I've got to do a better job of fucking organizing shit. Sorry about that.
I'm going to hold on. I'm just gonna let the magic of the fucking digital cards. I trust these with my life. I'm gonna pull one too because fuck it.
Pull a card and it.
I got the King of Swords.
What's it gonna be like the day aliens are announced? Bippity boppity boo. Let me pull a random card. Oh shit.
I think we have the same deck.
I pulled this card and it was reversed.
What is it?
Let's see.
You guys both have rods going on.
9 of rods upside down.
The 9 of rods.
Yeah, the 9 of rods.
Yeah, I don't work with reverse, so I only work with regular. I'm baffled.
That is the card I pulled. And I pulled from the very bottom of the deck. I wonder what card I would have gotten if I would have pulled from the top of the deck. Oh.
So, yeah, 9 of rods generally means
And
defiance.
judgment
If
upside
you're going to
down.
be... Generally, 9 of rods means defiance. I mean, it's if you are going to count the reverse meaning, it means you're going to be... It doesn't mean you're going to be open. That's kind of a wrong way of seeing reversals. But if you're going to see it as reversal, it's going to be defiance can either be a positive thing, like you defy your enemies and you stand strong and tall, or you're in defiance in a negative way where you're like defying something that is something you can't.
Denial of something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like being in denial of something.
Well, I myself am not in denial of the possible existence of aliens because I have a pretty strong feeling that they already walk among us. But for the people around me, like my family members and stuff who happen to be pretty strong Christians, they may be the ones who are in complete denial. Maybe that's what that card was foretelling.
And even somebody said they got the devil, but I think they were joking and saying that they like did it on purpose, kind of. But the devil actually makes some kind of sense because it does lead to a kind of temptation. It's going to tempt a lot of people towards strange behaviors. Maybe it's going to be a temptation towards
fucking industry.
You know, people are going to. Yeah, people are going to try to capitalize on it for sure. You're going to suddenly see a lot more aliens in video games and shit for a while.
Well, I bought alien T-shirt when I get around to designing it.
Hey, Fleshy, we need to release for that. We need to release for that stream for the night before that happened. Yeah, because it'll be a Thursday, and the release is on a Friday. We should do some clapping cheeks T-shirts or something.
And we'll do the alien episode.
Let me draw.
We'll do another alien episode.
Will I find wealth and prosperity in this lifetime? Oh, at
Drink
the
more Ovaltine.
Knight of Wands.
Yes, the man of action himself. The Knight of Wands, the man of action.
I think that says buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, basically.
Or
well, no, it's saying you better get to work is what it's saying. Get the fucking work. Charge into it head first.
Yeah, I was trying to reference this. Please, my son, buy a lottery ticket.
Okay, so you said that the Knight of Wands is all about the man of work.
Well, the man of action. He's the
man
man. He charges into.
Huh.
Yeah, he's not necessarily the man of work, but he's definitely charged. He's the one who charges up the hill with the flag in his hand and says, "We're gonna win, boys."
You know, that is actually very reminiscent of what King Belial has been showing me lately. Interesting that I would draw that card. Asking that question.
It basically means it's basically like enthusiasm, charging into something head first, climbing that mountain, you know, being a leader, you know, gung ho.
But I wonder what it means for this card to be reversed. I mean, not that I drew it that way, just out of curiosity.
It would be being too headstrong and rushing towards something foolishly. Like, you know, it would be so gung ho can either be seen as a good thing, like I'm gung ho, you can't beat me, or you're gung ho, like you're suicidal. So you know, that could be it. But I don't do reversals. I don't like reversals because there's enough depth of meaning in each card that you don't need it reversed. If you can't intuitively tell which one it means for the given situation, or if you're not open to either way, I don't like that. When I use reversals, it's making the meaning too specific, and I prefer to leave my cards as open as I can so that my intuition takes over from the reading. I don't trust my cards to. The cards are just flimsy pieces of fabric, you know, flimsy pieces of paper. And they do appear in strange orders with some pretty strange frequency, but I don't trust the cards to decide the truth. It's meant to be a window for me to see. I'm not telling you don't use reverse. I'm just saying I don't like reverse. Whenever I try to use reverse, I find that the reading is too limiting because I'm not saying it never comes out, but it's also my brain goes, why was it reversed? Is it because I fucked the deck up? Am I holding the deck right? Why is it? When does it count as reversed? And so I just don't. I always treat it as right side up. In fact, I go to great lengths to keep it right side up all the time on my deck. Like I don't like when my cards get reversed. It just it bums me out.
What is my love life gonna be like in the future?
See, you're trying to do fortune telling. Fortune telling don't work, bro. Oh, maybe it does work.
Oh shit.
Yeah, fucking Seven of Swords here. Man, I don't know if
so somebody's going to steal your power. So you're going to find somebody that you really, really like, and some Johnny going to get your girl going to walk in and steal your thunder and take her away from you, and you're going to have no power over it.
Oh, well, guess I better not fall in love then.
or you're going to do that to somebody else. You're going to be the power thief on somebody else. That could be it.
Well, Funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Alright. So, you know what? Don't even know where to begin with this. I hope that I'm
Well, that's okay. I think Fleshy's going to pass out, so
Oh, shit.
I think we'll have to do a love and romance episode. You can call back with the love and romance story. Unless this has to do with alien cheeks.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe it can be symbolically represent a representation of me stealing someone else's big titty alien girlfriend and clapping her cheeks.
Hi, Susan Wojcicki. This is DH Thorne. I just want you to know that
We're definitely in the third hour.
I am honestly getting to that point where I need to run real fucking fast. I do actually love that idea for an episode, though.
Actual Solve Quest.
You know, we should do an episode where we spend the first half hour just doing readings for people who ask for it in the chat. That'd be pretty funny.
I'm gonna do final quick.
I hate cold readings, though. I hate cold readings.
Should I continue to say? Should I get back into the habit of making YouTube videos and whatnot, talking about my mystical and magical experiences? I got the card of strength.
So whenever I like to ask a yes or no, I draw two cards, and the one on the left is the yes, the one on the right is the no, and whichever one has the higher value card is what I say is the answer.
Maybe I should get back into fucking doing YouTube content, because the last time I've uploaded anything was my fucking initial Necronomicon testimony video, and that was before I got into the gate walking. I got a whole bucket list of videos I gotta do.
Do it, Patchy. Do it. We'll try to tune in. So, Fleshy, why don't you give us the good night speech, and don't forget to buy our crap. Go to the description of this video. I got books, I got videos, I got pictures of Flesh Priest naked somewhere hidden in something I sell.
You got to.
We've got the Magic is Stored in the Butt T-shirt. We've got this tapestry. We've got my new. Oh, one quick announcement. My classroom, for those of you who are interested in it, but you didn't do it because it's during the day, I'm switching the schedule. The weekly class is now from 9 p.m. Eastern till about 10:30, 11 every Monday. So if you guys were interested in that but didn't sign up because you couldn't make it and you didn't feel like watching the recordings, well, here's your chance. I'm probably going to announce it in a video or something too. But for those of you who are still here and interested, so that's it.
And the best way to show support is to have a physical thing in your hand that is energy for energy, and the best way to do that is go to that link tree and find DH Thorne on Amazon.
Absolutely. And if you don't want that, at least get a service or something from me. At least get something that, you know, like I love the donations and stuff, but I appreciate those. But I want you to get a thing or an experience that I feel like you got something that was special, you know. I love tips, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't. It's just, if you're going to put money in my pocket, I want you to have a good time. I want you to get something for it. So.
And to all of you glorious bastards, bitches, and non-binary witches out there, we thank you for tuning in, and especially to the people who tune in live here. We love all of you, and thank you for being here. And also, thank you to the amazing mod team, Kamila, who I imagine is probably asleep by this point, and
for sure.
The always great Nina the Mystic. For those of you who don't know, absolutely check out Nina's channel too. She does a lot of cool shit. And you all are fucking awesome. Mine.
How often do I yawn? That should tell you everything. So
it's fucking late, dude.
Yeah, I'm a daytime person again a little bit. So, all right, guys, mind the shadows until next time, and remember, never take yourself more seriously than your enemies do. Have a good one.
Peace.
Where's my button? How do I turn this off? Shut up. I don't want to talk to you. No, where is it? I can't find it. I am here.